7:29, my wife says 7:30. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who's in the kitchen?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Ralph Road. Aaron Thomas died last night. Aaron Thomas. Security. He used to be security. Tall, dark, from Barbados. He was married to Lee Ramos.
Okay. Everyone, there she is, Donna. I know that you're repressing me again. You didn't go home.
No, and in fact, she's going back to the office when she drops.
Still there. John, this is for you. And you'll have another one, just put this in your pocket, you'll know what it is. And the other one will be coming by email. Okay, we're up to approval of minutes, Mr. Secretary, it's your call.
Yes, I move the approval of the minutes as submitted.
Open a closed session for which date?
Session, the 2014.
James,
Hold on, I got a wrong date.
July 22nd, 2014.
Yeah.
Last 3 days.
Okay.
That's a friendly.
It's the exact thing. All right, we've reached that point. Is there a second? Second by, okay, we're ready? All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, we're now up to the, we did the approval minutes, we're now up to the management report. Go like hell. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. First item on my agenda is the introduction of Yvette Diaz-Moreno. She's the new managing director with FSR, who's taking the place of Dawn Dickstein. We want to go around the table. We have James Campbell, Jerry Wahlberg, Yvonne Martin Kutzela. I'm so close, sorry.
It only took me 2 years to say it, so why should
John Buscarella, Larry DeDona, the president, and to your right is John Carter.
Oh, he introduced it. Okay?
So she'll be sitting in from time to time on our meetings.
And we have a guest coming in.
And we have a guest coming a little later. Keith Warney will be here to discuss the accounting issues. Accounting.
Issues in general.
Not counting. Accounting.
All right. So the
You want to turn the meeting? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
open session capital projects. We have the local law 11. With 2 meeting minutes attached for your review. The project is moving into its final stages. No change order approval requested at this time. Our standing monthly meeting has been changed to an as-needed basis for the duration of the project. So we're reducing the expenses and the need for so many meetings at this point. Currently, the sidewalk bridge around the front of buildings 5 is estimated to be removed by the end of November. The next item on my agenda is the sanitation solution. Please disregard the statement in your packages. I revised it slightly upon further review.
Right.
Based on the board approval rendering, CTA produced a scope of work for the total sanitation solution and submitted the project to 6 construction firms. 2 declined the bid and 4 submitted their proposals. The total price, including alternates, were as follows. TSC was $1,714,200.
We're in management report?
Yeah.
So we did approval in this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, early actually.
7:30 on the button.
I mean, according to this, here, 7:37 should be it.
If you start the meeting, however it rolls, it rolls. Go ahead.
Maya's submitted a total bid of $1,466,969. DMJ's total proposal was $1,059,799, and Summit submitted $1,019,452. Although not the lowest bidder, management recommends DMJ because of their familiarity with working with CTA and Summit, although the lowest bidder has a pending lawsuit. So with that in mind, I have a recommended motion for the board to consider. Move, the board approves DMJ for the sanitation solution project with a total bid of $1,059,799 as a capital expense.
So you're changing the basic motion, you're putting in DMJ with Summit Corporation is, you're putting in
And we're
with
doing the alternate.
a total bid, you're putting in with a total bid, and then you're putting in $1,059,799 as a capital expense.
Correct.
Is there a mover of the motion, please? Yes, Devon, is there a second?
Second.
John seconds it, okay, any discussion?
Get that one again.
$1,059,799, go ahead, Dan.
Is this done as systems construction?
They don't go to System Constructions, they come to us, we open the bids here.
No, but I mean, has the project gone, what was system construction's role in it? And this is system construction.
Dan, do you remember vaguely being in any meetings when we discussed the project, when we approved the architecture, when we approved the rendering? This is the rendering, this is the final thing, it's done. System construction was done when we moved it forward.
So the answer is yes.
Yes. Okay? Any more discussion? Hearing none, we're ready for a vote. All in favor? 6. All opposed? 1 opposed. There's 2, you're opposing it? Okay, 2 opposed, 3 opposed? Any?
I don't know, really.
We're voting on the DMJ for the sanitation solution project with a total bid of $1,059,799.
Before we go, I have another question before we.
We voted. Now, you wanna ask the question? Ask the question, but it's not gonna change the vote.
Have we done any, review of these bidders? Including that bidder? Any bidder?
Yes. Yeah,
It's all in your packet, Dan.
No, but,
all of the bidders were reviewed. The reason we didn't go with the Summit does have a pending lawsuit currently. Although lowest bidder, we felt that that's why they shouldn't be recommended as the winning bidder.
There's a $40,000 difference between Summit and DMJ.
Excuse me, who were the people who voted no?
Dan, Gabe, Maitri,
But now that I know we're voting, I vote yes.
okay?
So I know we voted, but is it, I'm sorry, it's complete mistake. Is it possible to get more information, like, cause it says it's, do we have like, resource, we have a schedule?
You saw, maybe you forgot, but there was a rendering that went out and placed in every lobby for over a week. We approved the rendering, we approved the plan, we approved everything.
Is it possible to look at that again?
Sure, you can look at it anytime you wanna go to Russell's office.
I have a question.
1 second, please, I want to dispose of one at a time, okay?
So we can disclose it.
Well, that's how you do it, you dispose of questions. Okay, Gabriel?
Yeah, the question is, just correct me if I'm wrong, but the rendering is separate from the price.
Of course it was, we had to have a bid.
The rendering was the design, and that was approved by the board, I think in May. From there, it went to a construction document and a bid package, and then bid it out. So it was all based off of the.
We had already moved $750,000 into that line. We knew it would go more than that, but we had to have a placeholder for it. And now we'll make the adjustments at the long-range planning committee, probably next month.
We probably also are capitalizing the cost of the rendering,
The rendering, the
That's
bid
all-
process.
Everything related to this project is capitalized money.
that's over and above the capital budget is all I'm saying.
It's not over and above anything, because we put the number in there as a placeholder, not as a fixed number. There is no such thing as a fixed number on that budget. That's why it's a capital budget plan. It changes as we need to change it. Okay, next item, please. Yes, this is the final one.
Number 3, in the capital projects, we have the grounds retaining wall. The railroad tie retaining wall in the area off the southwest corner of Building 4 has deteriorated to the point where a replacement wall is necessary. 3 contractors were contacted and bids were submitted. I have a recommended motion for the board. Move, the board approves Ken Abel for the replacement of the railroad tie retaining wall with an interlocking block wall at a total cost of $11,600 as
First, it's gotta be moved. Who's moving it?
So moved.
Okay, who's seconding it? Yvonne. All right, Andy, you're up.
So why not go for the lowest bid, which is $700 less?
I felt that was a new company, I didn't even like the way they submitted their bid. They didn't even have a letterhead, it looked very unprofessional the way the bid was submitted, although the lowest, Cannon Able did a similar wall for us on the south side of Building 6, and it came out wonderful. So for a $600 difference, $700 difference, I thought it'd be better to go with somebody we know.
So we'll be in that up here, so.
Yes.
It'll be lower, because it doesn't require the same height.
As well as the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
cap and the same.
Yeah,
Same capping stone, same.
And it'll have a concrete, foundation, as that one had a concrete foundation.
And that one was like 30,000 or something.
Yeah, that one was more, a lot more expensive.
That was a big
It was
wall
a lot
front,
more,
yes.
more.
When they do local law 12 on our property, they'll be able to put up the bridging for building 6 without tearing the wall apart, the ground apart. They can actually mount it on the wall, support it on the wall. Okay, anything else? Hearing nothing, we move to a vote. All in favor? This is now, I think it's unanimous. Okay.
Pressure regulating valve. Due to the low pressure and temperature fluctuation complaints, our engineer maintenance department traced the problem back to the pressure reducing valve, the pressure regulating valve, sorry. The job was scoped and the price was submitted by 3 plumbing companies. I would also recommend a motion on this. Move, the board approves GC Plumbing for the replacement of the Building 1's pressure regulating valve at a total cost of $43,500 as a capital expense.
Is there a mover of the motion? Yes, Jerry, is there a second? John seconds it, okay? We're ready, this is, and let me ask you a question, just for everybody's benefit. This is the first of the pressure regulating valves we're replacing?
Yes.
We expect to do more, am I
Yes,
correct?
if this solves the issue. I actually want to make a note of that too. Keep in mind, we did start discussing the replacement of the hot water tanks in the building. That is still a project we're looking at. We're looking at different make and models. But this deals with the pressure problem. Part of the fluctuation people are experiencing is the pressure of the building itself. So this will resolve that issue.
Okay,
Just to clarify, did you say this is the first? Or maybe they were, so it's.
there's 6 buildings, there's gonna be 6 pressure valves.
This is gonna be times 6 then. We will-
Eventually.
If it, well, you're not gonna replace them till you need them. This is the first one we're replacing.
Because this building is.
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason.
The expectation would be that potentially.
Every building's gonna fail, and we're gonna have to replace every
Potentially,
building.
we're gonna have to do all of them.
This is building 1. Am I correct, building 1?
Upon approval, we could probably get it off within 2 to 3 weeks tops, somewhere along those lines.
Okay, any more? Yes, Chief?
Yeah, I have the similar question since you already explained. So this is only, the 43,000 is only for building 1.
Correct.
And then if we do the same work for other buildings, will the cost be the same or?
If we do them individually, one at a time, over a period of time, no. But if we submit one huge proposal to do the other 5, yes, there'll probably be a reduction on the cost.
Do you want us to do that? Does the board want us to go back to the contractor, or at least the management to go back to the contractor and ask to replace all 6 buildings at one time and get a price?
Well,
Even though we don't need them, that's the question.
Yeah.
Yvonne?
No, my question was, I mean, since we don't know when we're gonna need them, that was basically my question, how do we know, will it be X number of months, or
Right.
X number of years?
Right, we
that
don't know,
these things
we don't
will
know.
fail?
We know building 1 is the worst of the bunch.
Right.
That's why we're starting with that building. Some other buildings did have some other localized problems we were able to address, changing shower bodies and some other
Right.
local plumbing issues. But this was more of a global one that we identified as being building 1 so far.
We don't even know if it's gonna work, so.
Well, we have a good idea it's gonna work. We think it's gonna be work better than what we had in there. It's a superior product. Am I
All right, and
correct?
it's the original valve, also, you guys said that the intricacies of these valves are huge. This isn't a valve, they're huge valves on 3-inch mains.
Nothing's worked so far.
And, right, so building 1, we tried other solutions and it hasn't worked in building 1. So this is why we're tracing it back to now this being the source of the
That makes
valve.
sense.
Wait, Chief.
Yeah, so just to follow up, so in that case, I think it's
I'm sure the manufacturer's warranty on products like that is usually 1 year minimum. Workmanship up to 5 to 10 years.
It's on the product, it's on the item failing, not on the item working to what we think the expectations are. That's not the issue, it's a pressure valve. If it still doesn't satisfy the problem, we got another problem on our hands. This is how far we've traced it back so far, that the corporation has traced it back. Maitri?
Oh, no.
Oh, no? Okay, Vaughn.
No, this is just a curiosity. Are these the original valves or have these valves been changed over
I
the years?
believe this one is an original.
This one is, but it is
original.
possible that in other buildings there, we've done the work in the past.
That is possible,
So
but I
there
don't know.
really is no, I mean, there's absolutely no reason to even
I wouldn't
consider
recommend
it.
going for all 6
Yeah,
at this point.
consider it.
Yeah.
Okay? No more discussion, hearing no discussion, we move to a vote, all in favor? It's unanimous.
Oh, before we go on, can we get a report after they finish this work, so that the board, and then that shareholders
Sure.
know at the board meeting say
We all
that-
wanna know that.
Okay, and then the other thing, since I'm late for the meeting, I think, the board already passed the sanitation, whatever solution, right?
Yes, but
And
we
that
didn't pass
is
the
not-
one there, we passed a different one.
Oh,
You wanna know what we passed?
Yeah.
Okay, look at your motion, cross out the word Summit Development Corporation, put in the initials DMJ. Then go to the next line and cross out the words a lower base. Cross those 3 words, cross out lower base, those 2 words, and then put in the word total there. And then for the actual dollar value, $1,059,799.
oh, that's.
Now, that's the total bid, not a base bid, that's every item that has to be done to complete the sanitation solution as was designed and rendered in the drawing that was presented to the shareholders, and the board approved.
Okay, and then, just to have a note that when I read their bids, and then they have the small print, and they mentioned that,
You're
and
wasting
then.
our time. Chi, you need to be on time. I'm sorry. We've done this already.
But-
You're late at
yeah,
the
I
meeting.
know.
It's time to move on.
But that's not.
No, let her ask, look,
I just
let me
want-
hear this question, because it might be really important. Go ahead.
It's not,
No, but she's asking about the material in there, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we cover all the small prints in their bids, because they say they don't address, they didn't include the cost of the permits and then other things, you see that?
Oh, yeah,
Right?
of course.
That will add more
Of course.
money. And then also, I'd like to, also, as long as you pass, I would like, if I were here, I would say, I will vote no, but because we need to check on their references. Can I put that in
No,
minutes?
it's past the time.
That's
Okay,
fine.
we're ready to go. Next item, please. The
Okay,
meeting starts at 7:30. I appreciate you being here at 7:30, okay? Just so you know.
Number 5, the vacuum pumps and condensate.
Not polite, okay?
I left
You
my class
can't say
early to
that.
be here on time, Chi.
Yeah,
You're
but
wasting
your
everyone's
work-
time.
All right, but now we're wasting more time, so let's keep going.
You're not
Go
running
ahead.
the meeting, John.
Number 5, vacuum pumps and condensate connections to the BMS system. To increase our heating efficiency, especially apartment lines furthest from the steam supply, the board recently approved the installation of new condensate tanks and their components to bring more efficient heat to these areas. In order to control this operation, a conjunction of the components are needed to tie this addition into the BMS system. To that end, I have a recommended motion. Move, the board approves Pepco to furnish and install the necessary components to integrate the new vacuum pump and condensate tanks to our BMS system in each building at a total cost of $60,000 as a capital expense.
Is there a mover? John moves. Is there a second? Yvonne seconds. Discussion. Chief.
So it says that, is this the final phase of the BMS project?
That and the next item on the agenda, the apartment
After
centers.
the next, but this is the one with the cost of 60,000.
Yes.
And then the next one, for the sensors?
It's already been approved by the board, and I'm just giving an update of where we are.
Okay, And then the 60,000, does it include any of the, like, permits, extra taxes? Because you say at the total cost of 60,000, including
Correct.
taxes or no?
No. we're
Capital
doing
projects
the
don't get taxed.
So.
Capital projects don't get taxed.
Yeah, but you have to get vendors to have a certificate so that you don't get taxed.
Pepco has a certificate, they've been working
We
here for.
provide them the certificate of capital improvement from us to the vendor, that they don't charge tax on it.
Right, okay, that's good.
Yes, Sandy, please.
So why didn't we bundle this with the condensing pumps themselves? Why is this coming to us now?
You're absolutely right, I should have done it at that time.
Well, it wouldn't have been appropriate, first of all, you're wrong. I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong. The condensate tanks was done by Dunn and Bush. That's a contract that we approved with Dunn and Bush. There had to be another motion to do the Pepco piece. We didn't do the Pepco piece at the time until the condensate tanks were finished. So you couldn't have done it as one motion, you had to do it as two separate motions anyway.
What were you gonna tell us?
I was gonna say, I agree that it can be separated out, but it could have been bundled at the time. I could have just had a little more foresight and put it all together at that time, but it's separated out, but it's all part of the same project.
So the sense is that 3 months from now, we're not gonna have we need to spend another $100,000 on Pepco again?
No. The only thing we have moving forward with Pepco is a normal monthly maintenance, an annual maintenance fee that they charge. But any other heating system, BMS, this is it. This is the fruition of the plan that was start out, I don't know how many years ago.
We've already approved the money for the sensors, so it's done, that's done. We're just waiting to pay it, actually. Go ahead.
If you had done it at the same time, would the project actually be carried out as it is anyway, you have to do one and then the other?
Correct. Time-wise, to launch the project and complete the project will be the same.
It took almost over 2 months to put in every condensate tank in one in each building. This is a major piece of making the heating system work right. My trees.
So is this, I know there's certain components that we have to, like, there's certain things that we have to buy from Pepco, right? And so this is not obviously one of those components that has to be bought from Pepco.
Correct, we went out to 3 vendors
Okay.
to do this wiring and try to connect it.
Can you remind me what are the components that Pepco, which ones can you do with outside groups that they compatible just as well?
Generally, the valves can be purchased from several distributors and manufacturers, and Metco valves. The only thing that is really proprietary is the final connection to the BMS that communicates to the Pepco BMS.
Okay.
That component is proprietary to Pepco. But the wiring, the labor to run the wires, and the valve, mechanical valve itself can be purchased from any number of vendors. But it is a specific manufacturer though, it's Mepco. Mepco is the name of the manufacturer of the valve.
Mepco, but no connection to Pepco.
No connection, Mepco with no connection to Pepco, you're absolutely right. They're a distributor of Mepco valves, but
Okay.
there's no connection.
All right, then can we move forward?
I think those are the questions.
She?
Yeah, this is just like the motion, the wording. Maybe my English is not that good. So the second line, to our BMS in each building at a total cost of 60,000.
Yeah.
If we say in all 6 buildings
That's fine.
at 6,
Yeah.
That's
because
fine with us.
otherwise people might ask, oh, each building might cost 60.
No.
You know, that's what
I'm fine with that.
I understand that.
Yeah,
It's
all 6 buildings, to make the motion acceptable and the seconder?
Yes.
Good, done. Anything else?
So, so basically all the parts of Pepco parts. And Pepco probably has the most experience working with their parts and their bid is the cheapest.
No, not the most of the parts, part of this project is not Pepco. It's other, Mepco is the manufacturer
Right.
and wiring. It's the brain control is a Pepco unit.
As opposed to Mapco.
The real key here is the
Yeah.
brain control, and that's Pepco, and that's what you want to work.
Because that's what we need, that component.
If that doesn't work,
Needs to talk to
it
us.
doesn't matter who you buy it from, it's gonna be irrelevant, but we know it works with Pepco. They actually are able to integrate this system that easily. Okay, no further discussion, we're going to a vote, all in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, number 6 on the capital project agenda is apartment sensors for the heating system. As part of the final phase of our heating controls and efficiencies, the board approved the new apartment temperature monitoring system to further benefit our BMS system. Not all apartments will have sensors installed. but a select group in each apartment line. Individual shareholders will be contacted in the near future for this installation.
Question.
Yes.
So they're gonna be contacted in writing or phone call, how are they gonna be contacted? That's the first question, and the second question is, if they object, what happens?
If they have what?
If they object to having a sensor, what happens?
We'll try to find an alternate apartment in that line if there's a serious objection, but there might come a time where we may have to require them to do it. So we're gonna try to accommodate everyone. Some apartments, for example, we had a large discussion about how to set up these sensors. If an apartment has installed a radiator cover per se, that's gonna block their heat, that apartment's not a good candidate because they're not getting the raw heat the way the apartment was meant to be heated. So that will be removed from the possible apartments. To answer your first question, I think the best way, we're gonna start out with a letter to all of the individuals who've been selected in a line, and then we'll follow up with a phone call to schedule.
Is there a kind of, you need, 3, 5, 7, 9 specific floors, or is it just a number of apartments, or how are those decisions made?
I think we were doing 7 out of 21.
So it's like
I
3,
remember-
9, 12, 15, that's the desirable.
And we would want them spaced out
Yeah.
across the span of the 21 floors, not all top.
And it
seven
is
on
one
top.
per apartment, am I correct?
Yes,
Yes.
it's one per apartment, and we would focus somewhere in the common area living room with a larger space in one, somewhere along those lines.
Yes, Andy.
Contact you ahead of time is very nice. Last time, this was before you were here, the contact ahead of time was knocking on my door saying, we're gonna put this in your apartment.
Right.
And contact ahead of time is nice.
Yes, Chief.
Yeah, that's really my question to Andy, because I know that a few years ago, before you came in, there were sensors installed in different different apartments. Are they still, in working condition, or is this time totally new sensors?
These are totally new sensors. The old sensors were analog sensors that do not integrate into the BMS system. So it was meant, I believe, I wasn't here at the time, but it was meant more for a monitoring device so the corporation can understand what the temperature difference is in apartments across a building. This will actually help us control the system, where if one apartment line is colder than another, will automatically supply more heat to that line, versus the other one will supply less heat.
This is linked to computer system or
Absolutely.
whatever.
They're going, every building's gonna have its own story, that's what we were told. So they're gonna gather the information, then make a program so that it matches up like on windy days, on extremely cold days with wind. These type of things, so that each building will know how to respond before they actually have to adjust it, and then they can adjust it, fine tune it on the day in question.
Better than that each line, right?
Each line.
Each line,
Yep.
right.
Not down to an apartment, so let's be clear about that. We can't
So
get
you
to
can't do it.
we can't get to an apartment level control, but we can try to monitor the line.
Yes, Andy.
So following up what Chief said, so the analog ones, is anyone paying attention to them anymore?
They haven't been used in
Okay,
maybe
maybe it
5
would be
years.
nice to tell people to throw them out.
Yeah, of course.
Seriously, I mean,
We could do it.
it's a
I don't see a
ugly
problem.
thing on people's walls, tell them they're not being used.
Okay. Maitri?
I did ask my question, is it like a fixed thing that you have to take out, or is it just the old one?
No, the old one is just on with a little two-sided tape. You can pull it
Oh,
off the wall
that's it.
anytime.
Yeah.
I think Ron did that.
Have you seen the little?
It's the size.
You don't have it.
How big is it?
Not much bigger than the other.
I never saw that.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact size, but I think it's something about
It's like 3 inches on a square.
2 by 3-ish.
It's about this long, and yeah, that's it.
Can people choose colors?
I don't think so. I think they're all gonna be boring page.
Oh boy, colors too? Jerry?
How does apartment behavior, meaning, I like my apartment colder, so I leave the windows open. Somebody else likes it hotter, so they close the windows and turn, space heater on.
Good question. The way we discussed setting it up was if we have 7 apartments in a line that are allowed to vote. We'll usually drop off the extreme hot and the extreme cold from being allowed to vote to accommodate for that. So maybe you have electric heaters in your apartment, and another person has 2 windows open. So you know what, we'll drop those 2 from the voting process and rely on the 5.
Can you install
that happen may be a little difficult, but it's possible.
That was it.
If we can do it at the same time, that would absolutely be a good time to do it.
Okay, shall we move on, please? Go ahead.
Garage pedestrian door relocation. The garage pedestrian door project is currently underway with an estimated date of completion of October 20th, 2014. Upon completion, the old doorway and area will be rebuilt to adjacent conditions.
Question.
Yeah, sure.
So how did we end up in this situation where we had a whole so long?
Once the hole was made, and the door, basically everything came down to the door. The door has to be a special cut, special order, and that's taking 6 weeks, which I think we're 2 weeks away from getting it now.
They had a building.
That when we knocked a hole in the wall, that we had to wait 6 weeks for the door?
No. The determination of that the door isn't a stock door and a special order door was made at the time when Brent went to the supply saying we need a door with X dimensions. That's when it was determined. So that threw everything off.
Andy.
I'm sorry that I did not scrutinize the contract enough. Are we gonna have to then pay for more to destroy the old one, or is
No,
that
it's
part of the
No.
contract? That's-
Both pieces were part of the contract. One door disappears, the stairs disappear.
Like I said, I don't remember it. I didn't-
Okay.
Chimney repair.
In the old days, it would have been done wrong, but we do it right now.
The
You
final.
have to decide what the old days were.
Just not that in.
The chimney repair. The finalization of the outer shell and waterproofing of the base is currently underway. I was hopeful by the time of this meeting it'd be completed, but the raw work is currently completed. That what you are seeing outside with the sleeve, the new base sleeve around the chimney, is not the final product. It will be.
It's gonna be worse.
There will be a wrap, and it'll give it a better appearance on the final end. This is the initial stage to wrap and cover the supports that was put in place in the chimney. As a side note, when this project, when we got here and this project was on our plate, this was a discussion from day one that there was a plan to do something very similar to this from day one. So, with all of the delays and problems we ran into with International Chimney, with installing this chimney, we are getting this whole portion of work done for free. So it will be included in the final, with no charge. Okay? Interior hallway lighting. All hallway lights have been installed, and we're working to follow up with the ceiling repairs. Building 1, 3, and 4 are completed, with work still pending through buildings 2, 5, and 6. Due to a shipping error, we received the wrong stairwell lights and had to send them back. The correct fixtures are expected to be delivered within the next 2 weeks. Exterior lighting project. Domingo Gonzalez
Can I
and
add something to this? We buy that stock, right?
the ceiling ones, yes, absolutely.
I just wonder if we can send a thank you to Systems and Structures and all the people that worked on this project. Because I think.
Does everyone agree with that?
In the hallways is stupendous.
Okay.
Wonderful.
What the board is asking that the general manager write a letter to the Systems Structures Chair to be read at the next meeting, that the board graciously appreciates the work and effort put into picking the fixture, and that because of their work, the lighting and the hallways have improved many times over. Okay? Is that good? Thank you. Jerry, you wanna add something to that?
No,
Okay, good.
perfect. But I haven't seen where they're actually doing the painting on the ceiling. So I haven't been in the other buildings to look at, but are they actually taking them off when they paint the ceiling?
They're taking the globes off, not the whole fixture off, so they're taking the globe down.
So they're not
and
gonna paint all over the, okay.
No, our guy is we're doing it in-house with our guy, and Lester is pretty good at doing this stuff, so.
I just don't wanna see that.
I know, I hate that too.
Yeah, just a suggestion, in the letter, we should also thank the employees who are involved.
No, this is going to Systems Structures. This is their work. That's who we're thanking. It's gonna be read at the Systems and Structures meeting. You wanna write another letter to the employees? We'll write another letter to the employees, but I'm not putting those two things in the same letter. That's wrong.
Why? Oh my
Okay.
God, we should be equal to all shareholders and employees.
I'll probably probably meet with the employees and thank them for all their work in the future, maybe in about another month, it's my usual routine, so I think I'll be able to communicate to the employees. Okay?
The, update on the ex.
No, when I finish, that's when I'll be able to explain it.
No, but I mean, the slight difference
Right,
is.
that's, don't thank them yet.
But the slight difference is the Systems and Structures Committee is all volunteers.
Right.
And the
Yeah.
staff is paid staff. So it's appropriate to thank people who are giving up their time, just as everybody at this table. And for giving up their time. And, you know, it's certainly appropriate to say thank you to the staff, but maybe not as much. Because, I mean, you wanna say thank you, but you are paying them.
Yeah, you can do separately.
Good.
That's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
The exterior lighting project update, Domingo Gonzalez is in the final stages of producing the bid package for this capital project. The anticipated process, it is anticipated the process will be completed and submitted to the board for approval next month.
Question.
Yes,
And, I'm sorry if I should know this and I don't. Once it's approved, what's the duration, the projected duration of the whole project?
probably 2 years. Because it's in 2 phases. You have to do phase 1 is building 4, 3, 2, 1 with the garage, some overlaps that they can do work in the winter, and then the top 6 and 5. That's, I believe, how they broke it down. We'll have a better idea when we look at it, but it's gotta be done that way because you're cutting through ground. You're pouring, you're running pipe, you're placing concrete bases, and then you're gonna, after you run all this stuff and you get it, and building 3 is the, mother of all the buildings. Building 3 is the control center, so you've got to do that front. They wanted to do more phases. Russell and I convinced them that it had to be done faster. But it should take, it'll span 2 years. If the ground stays soft, it'll go faster. If the ground hardens, it's gonna go slower. It's all a matter of what kind of winter we have. Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking back at the minutes and the reports. Did we see the design?
Systems and Structures has been intimately involved in this program.
Has the
They
board
have
seen
seen, the design of what?
Of the lights, the
Oh.
exterior lights.
What light are you looking for?
Can we review the project? I mean, I'm sorry.
You have to be clear on what you wanna see, and I can tell you what you
So
see.
this is the exterior lighting project. You can describe the project
Okay, every single fixture on the property is being replaced
by what?
by LED lights.
What is
There will
the
be,
design?
I'm giving one thing at a time. The first thing is every single light is being replaced, light fixture is being replaced.
Okay.
There are poles that
Yes.
that we still have, that will be replaced with a new fixture on it, that is an LED fixture.
Okay.
It's a very sophisticated fixture. The Systems Structures picked one that will allow us to focus the light to the ground so that you will have a black sky. Then under the building porticos, every single fixture will be replaced, LED fixture. Every fixture along the backs of the buildings will be replaced, LED fixture.
Has the board ever seen the design of these lights? I know this is construction, I don't think we have.
We were
I don't
invited
re-
to a meeting.
That's
You
not-
were-
no, that's not the same as the board actually signed, no, actually that's, so this is systems and structures, and that, this, what we're talking about is actually design. And the board.
Design of what, Dan?
The
Let me,
light.
may I finish?
Yes, but I wanna know what you're talking about, what
The
design?
design of the light, is it a Cobra head, is it the
No.
19th century thing? What is it? I mean, John, you know this stuff, I mean, what is the, you know, I mean, what's the design of these?
It's modern.
We
It's
saw
modern.
the picture.
Okay, it's modern, so but the board has never signed off on the actual design. Systems and Structure did, we were invited to a meeting, that's not the same, okay? This is something that all of our cooperators are gonna be living with, you know there's a lot of opinions out there. So if you're gonna put something in that we're expecting to get bids on, sight unseen, I think that's a bad move, and I think we should be reviewing these things before we start, you know, putting this out to bid. The board should be reviewing these things. I've never seen this design.
Design of what, Dan?
The light fixtures.
Dan, can I?
I'm trying to understand what
The light fixtures, what does it look like? What is it gonna look like on the ground when it's shut?
It's gonna-
What is, you know, what is the, when I look at the lights, what is it gonna, you know, is it gonna be some like, you know, ugly thing? Is it gonna be, like, what is it gonna look like? We have never seen it, just like we, you know, I mean, we, you know, with the grounds committee, we saw, you know, the grounds chairperson came, they showed this thing, we had a big, you know, PowerPoint, video. This is what it's gonna look like, these are all the flowers and bushes and plants we're gonna be using. We have never seen.
We will show you pictures in the packet, you will have a picture of every fixture that's going to be put up.
Okay, but we have no say what this is, it's already down the road?
It's part of the bid package.
That's a problem.
There is no way, there is no problem here. This was done by going to the place where the actual fixtures were. The board was invited, and so was Systems Instructions. I went, other board members went, Systems Instructions went, we arranged, gave 3 different dates, we canvassed everybody, asked what was the best date. We set the date, we went down. We looked at each of the fixtures in the different places to see what would be appropriate. And the Systems Instructions, we let them look at all the fixtures. Some were ugly, some were impractical, but there was one that was perfect. The big one for the grounds, not necessarily, the thing was easy. The wash,
The walkways.
the walkway ones, because that was a very big thing. Now, that fixture is an LED fixture, as is every other fixture. The reason why we've chosen this, why they chose this fixture, is because it is a sophisticated fixture that allows you to direct the light into the area you need to fill when it's on a pole or if it's mounted to the building. Now, this light, this fixture, is also easy to maintain because it comes with 4 boards, 4 individual boards that are directional boards. So when you put one of these, I'm trying to explain.
I appreciate your explanation. What I think would be better, Russell, can we just see the design, see what we're buying before the bids go? Can you send it out to the board?
We'll get it.
Yeah.
We'll get a picture
We've
of
never
everything.
seen it.
Okay, that's not a problem. But you, I'm
Like,
trying to.
Not by the next meeting, like.
No,
in a
we'll
couple
get it to
days
you,
or something.
but you still have to hear an explanation since you raised it, because looking at a fixture is not gonna mean anything to you. So now, this fixture, because this fixture is designed the way it is, all light is directed to the ground. We have guaranteed black sky, dark sky. No, I'm not talking about beauty, that's in the eye of the beholder. You may not believe it's beautiful. I think it's a very good fixture.
LED and all that, that's good. Okay?
But you asked it where the light goes. I'm trying to explain to you. The LED lights in these fixtures all go to the ground. It is so effective that when you are on an upper floor and you're looking down, you will not have glare when you see people on the ground. You can actually distinguish the person because of the black sky feature. There is a fixture that will go on the wall of the spaces of the parking lot. You know where the brakes in the parking garage are on the outside? There's a fixture that will go into each of those brakes, different sizes as you go down to the lowest part, that will illuminate the walkway, because that walkway was very difficult to illuminate. You'll have a flood of light coming down the wall and onto the walkway. Did you come to that meeting? You missed it. Okay. So the point is, every fixture was picked because it would work, and because it kind of, you couldn't get like a set. There was no such thing as a suite of fixtures. The fixture on the pole will not match the fixture under the building, will not match the fixture behind the building, will not match the figure that's giving you the wash on the wall. But each of them will do the job that they have to do where they're gonna be placed. That's how it's done.
So can we see these, the whole?
I haven't got the whole bid package yet, but as soon as I do from Domingo, before it goes out, I'll send it up to the board.
But we should try to ask him just to send us a picture of each
Doesn't
fixture.
Instructions have this information? I mean, can they just get it? I mean.
They-
complicated PowerPoint presentation.
Complicated
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
You're there for
Okay,
hours.
I think a good idea. Can you send the complicated presentation?
We don't have it. Nobody has it.
Nobody has a presentation.
Because the
What should we have to vote on?
The presentation was of the fixture.
Okay.
The final plan is the one that'll be in the bid package.
Can we see the presentation of the fixture? What's the big?
But I said we're gonna give you pictures of the fixture. Is this something that I'm not doing for you?
There's a presentation that was made. Can we see the slide presentation?
There was no slide, there was an actual fixtures on the floor.
John just said it was kind of complicated, yeah, but.
No, it was complicated because they had their architects, they had their
Engineers.
experts, their
Engineer.
engineers, they had renderings for us to look at, and we saw the actual fixtures, which are huge.
Right. future, that's all very nice, but that's really something that the board should have gotten, not
And that's
one
why
committee.
every board member should have made
No,
it
no, no,
their
the board should have
responsibility
gotten it at
to
the
be
board
at
meeting.
You know,
the
Dan, I have to say something, you're making a big issue about this, but when I sent this notice out to the board to come, you didn't even respond to my request. You didn't say yes, you didn't say no. And now you're complaining that we didn't do the right thing. But we did do the right thing because we knew this was a physical presentation that we had to be at. So you're wrong to complain about it's wrong the way you did it. It's wrong that you didn't respond to me on my request that you give me a date to go. I would have catered to your needs ahead of everybody else as a board member. No, I'm not joking, Dan. As a board member, you have rights over everybody else. But you didn't do that.
Larry.
So let's not do that.
Let's move on. We've also spent several $100,000 for this design. It's been going on for many years. I left work trying to get there, my bike broke and I didn't have my tool. So-
That's why you don't ride bikes. You take a subway.
Well, I just wanna say, I was pleased at the fixture, that the main fixture was chosen. Wasn't there another aspect where the poles bend or something there? And
Yes,
so
the
you're
other
not gonna
feature,
get cherry
the other
picker?
feature of this is self-maintenance. And thank you, Andy, for reminding me. The poles now, if we want to replace a Cobra head fixture, which is, in its day, the most inefficient fixture ever created, but the most durable in the world, you have to have a cherry picker come in. You have to hire a company to come in and take down the head and put a new head on. The way this is designed, it will all be able to be maintained within the property with our own engineers. Because the pole is a special pole that the base is anchored to the concrete. And then the pole has a pin in it that you can withdraw. When you withdraw that pin, you start to walk the fixture down to the direction it will move. You put it on a horse, you take out the board you need to take out, put the new board in, walk it back up, put the lock in, and the fixture's ready to go. No cost to us to do that. No cost.
Except for the horse. That was a joke.
You're right. Well, if you use a real horse, it's gonna be a cost of two costs, one for cleanup and one for the horse. There's other features, oh yeah, here's the other thing. This laws of the city of New York may change over the next few years about using gas-powered equipment within the city limits because of pollution. So another feature that the Systems Instructions thought was great when it was recommended to us is that they put in receptacles into the fixture so that when the guys come to do the work on the grounds, and if they're required to use electric, they will plug into the fixture, into a receptacle in the pole of the fixture, and they could run their electric-powered blowers or whatever they have to do. Because this is coming to a point where the city may require, under the greening of New York, you have to get rid of these small gas engines, because they're highly polluting engines. Okay, if there's something else, it'll be in the packet, yeah.
So the upshot of it is, the pictures will go around, we'll see them. I've been very pleased with everything I saw Systems and
Yeah.
Structures do as far as the other lights and all. We'll put it around, we'll see it, and we'll vote on it.
Right, Tree? I'm sorry, Chi. I'm sorry to confuse you.
Yeah, I just, I like the idea that those visiting must happen, for the previous board, before we came on board.
I'm sorry, you didn't.
Right, I think the visiting to the different places for the exterior light.
Oh, it happened in the
Yeah,
spring.
before we came
Well,
on. So that means, that's good if you circle around the pictures, so we.
Oh, yeah,
can
yeah.
see.
Oh.
And then the other suggestion is, I don't know how you will put in the minutes about the exterior lighting, because many shareholders around this complex asking whether those, small lights are the new ones. So maybe you should say, we
Oh,
are
that's
still.
temporary lighting.
Yeah, if you somewhere you say now, the current ones are temporary.
If I may, for the board's edification, those small fixtures that were put on are temporary lighting because we have some permanent line breakage into the
Right, yeah,
fixture. But we also, if you remember, we've taken down every Cobra head fixture on every building. That was a big thing. So to illuminate the paths to a minimum level, we had to put up temporary. unfortunately, it's taken a little longer than we wanted to get to the point where we're gonna be able to get the job started. But, and that too, by the way, for your edification, about the capital budget plan, there's a number in there, which was a guesstimate, that is approximately the price of what we thought it might cost to do the job, plus a 20% contingency. When we get the bids, we'll know if that price is close to what we want with a 20% contingency. Because our consultant, Domingo Gonzalez, said, any job like this, you have to have a minimum of 20% contingency. Because you don't know what you find until you do it. So that number, while being a placeholder, is not a permanent number each, but will be adjusted for the November meeting or October meeting by the LRPC when we go over all the fixtures. Well, no, that number for Domingo won't be adjusted until November, because there'll be another LRPC meeting. But all of these other numbers will be adjusted going into October. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Alright, number 11, commercial space division. Prior to the start of construction, we were required to perform asbestos and lead testing. This is in the commercial old Wayne Reed space. The original flooring contains asbestos tile and will require professional abatement. This has changed the scope of the base bid previously approved by the board. Management recommends rescinding the previously approved motion and substitute a new motion to now include the asbestos abatement pricing. So I'm recommending we rescind the original June 2014 motion that's stated, that the board approves Mamaya's Contracting Corporation to build the demising wall and separate the plumbing and electrical service and install a new storefront plus additional supportive work to ready the space for a new pharmacy in our commercial space on Amsterdam Avenue in the amount of $174,840 as a capital expense.
Okay, this is a motion to rescind. We need someone to move it. Who's moving it?
So moved.
Seconded. John, okay. James, John. All right. Now, everybody understands why we're rescinding it. All in favor? Unanimous. Go ahead.
So now I have a new recommended motion. Move that the board approves Mamaya's Contracting Corporation to build a demising wall, separate the plumbing and electrical service, and install a new storefront, perform an asbestos abatement, plus additional supporting work to ready the space for a new pharmacy in our commercial space on Amsterdam Avenue in the amount of $212,082 as a capital expense.
Is there someone making this motion? Jerry. Second? John. Okay. I look this way. We can let you. Maitri, would you like to be the seconder? Yes, Maitri's the seconder. Okay. So we have the motion. Is there any? Andy, you want to
I'm
talk?
curious, so we're increasing this by $37,000, which seems like a lot of money. How many only one bid for?
We were going with the base contractor who the board already did approve Mamaya's, so they're doing this as an addition to their bid. So rather than this turning into a change order, they didn't even start yet. So I recommended just including it in their base contract for day one.
Asbestos removal is one of the most expensive things you can do, and the board should be aware that when we gave the Dwayne Reed contract to Dwayne Reed to occupy that space, we gave them $200,000 to remedy the space for their needs. And because of that, what they did, no, because nobody knew about it at the time. They weren't concerned about it at the time. But we gave them $200,000 to tear out the top dividers, the bottom dividers, and to build a platform. Now we're giving it back to correct the abatement of the asbestos, which now is a major issue in the world. Chief.
Yeah, I have no problem with this motion. I just want to make sure that the amount we gave is very specific. So I hope that they don't have change orders. We don't know, right?
Well, you could never guarantee that, but I think the scope on this is pretty tight on what needs to be done. I don't foresee much of a change order possibility, but I can't guarantee that.
And then the question is on my note. Will this abatement covers the entire space of where
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
The whole thing has to be abated. That's the whole point. Gone.
everything, so they
The floor, wherever the floor tiles are, but it's a large area. It's not like we're only doing the 25%. You're doing the whole thing because whatever happens, it's It's gotta be
Right,
done.
it's gonna be done for the next 10
You
months.
you
Yeah,
can't
basically.
isolate that piece and leave, and do it later, you do it one time.
Yeah, so the
So
price
what-
include that.
It's the second, it's the layer below the top layer.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's the base floors that were originally stepped down, I think, at the
When they test
4 or
for
5
asbestos,
apartments.
they have to test there are certain materials that the city has on the list, they have to test those materials. And if there's a tile floor, they have to keep going down until they get through all the layers. So the first layer had no asbestos, the second layer has asbestos.
That's it.
So
Chief?
Yeah, I think I asked before, but just to see, like, so this project will take long, like till probably
About 3 months,
3 months,
right
so
to the end of the year.
right?
The end of the year.
In closed session, we'll talk about the leases and everything, and you'll understand where we are, but this is, I just wanna say Russell performed a miracle here in terms of our lease, at least one lease space, okay? You'll find out about it there.
Okay.
Okay, so the motion, I'm sorry, Richard.
So I have a question about timeline, so you're gonna get into that later, just sequencing or,
No, the timeline is about 3 months,
but I mean, and then,
but what, the information behind that timeline and everything else, and we have more to tell you. That's what I'm saying, but I can't say it now.
More lease specific.
All right? You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna go away tonight without talking about it. Okay, the motion is before you. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, we're almost finished with open session, Keith, so, okay, thank you.
We have the Morningside Heights Housing Corporation website. Currently, we have approximately 1/2 of our population signed up on your guys' www.mmhc.coop website. If you have not done so already, please sign up and join your neighbors in receiving email blasts directly to your smartphone, tablet, laptop, or desktop computer. We are close to reaching our goal of 80% to begin to reduce the door-to-door paper notification and reduce our corporation's expenses.
Now, remember, the 80% is not to stop paper. The 80% is to stop all the paper to everybody, so that you can point where you're gonna hand deliver the paper and cut down on that cost and time. Dan first.
Since, I mean, we have the benefit of knowing exactly who and who is not signed up.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, right now, it's kinda like this blanket, just put a notice in the lobby, maybe on the doors, I mean, why don't we?
It's in the, it's also in the
Your
bill, it's
statement.
gonna be in the statement for the next 2,
For
3, 4
for the
months.
people who, only for the people who have not signed up?
No, it's not a hard target.
So I think that you wanna, well, that's gonna be confusing then, cause then it's like, well, didn't I sign up? So, I mean, now.
Well, they would know, but Dan, they would know. They have just received
Yeah,
5
they-
email blasts in the last 2 weeks from us. I mean, really, from the
Should
corporation.
you see email blast saying what, that they?
Well, different things, no, like, different things. Today,
No, no,
building 1 and 4.
Okay, this is a customer service issue, okay, and it's you don't wanna create confusion among folks. And if you're gonna say to people who have signed up the website, sign up the website, you and I know that means, that it means nothing, okay, but there's a lot of folks here who are not sure. They're gonna be like, is there another website? I thought I did, I mean, you're creating unnecessary confusion for no apparent reason. It's much better, because you have a targeted list of people who have not signed up, why not just do a mail merge? Say, dear John, please sign up for the, I mean,
We're doing it at the lowest cost by putting it in the maintenance.
how much more, how?
It's
Well,
postage,
there's
Dan.
an easy way to actually do this. Just put a line in and say, if you're not getting email blasts, if you haven't gotten it, sign up. Because it means if you haven't gotten them, you're not on. So
Yeah, that's the easy way.
Alright,
So
well,
put it
Can you
in.
make that the next one?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see in your statements this month, the basic flyer, the one that was originally distributed, when one of the volunteers, Adam, was going to the lobbies, meeting with residents, trying to get people to sign up. So that's the flyer we use for this round. Next month, we could add, change, delete. A hard target, distribution, I could look into the possibility, but what we're trying to do is save the expense of postage even. So that's why we're piggybacking with the statements that you're paying for postage already anyway. If I now turn around and send the postage to for another 500 people, it's just another mailing envelopes and other expenses.
We're not gonna get $1.4 million this year. I'm not James next, but I just wanna point out, we're not getting $1.4 million this year in excess money. That ain't happening. James?
So I brought this up about something else, I'm trying to alert people about, I don't know how many people have signed up to receive their statements online, I have. I've never gotten any notices, is there a way to include
It's
notices
printed on the bill,
on the bill
on the
itself?
monthly bill every month.
Any
In your
notices?
PDF, in your PDF, so when you get.
Correct.
Sometimes it goes go down.
Well, I scrolled over how much I owe.
Right, no, sometimes there's the additional page with the additional information.
All right, we good?
Yeah, we're,
All right.
I'm good.
Dan, go ahead.
First of all, I mean, you can't raise the specter of like, the budget, I mean, you're not talking about huge expenses, really. I mean, first of all, you don't have to mail it, you know who's got it, everybody gets, people get, they can do distributed mailings to people all the time, we do that all the time. I mean, why not just do a notice that kind of, says, hey, we're gonna be stopping paper mailing, you're not signed up for the website yet, according to our records, please sign up. And you have 300 people by apartment, and the porters can, they're, you know what they're doing, you give them the list, you give them the letters, you send it out. I mean, it's not that difficult, and it's not that expensive either. So,
Why don't we try this for a couple of months, see what our number goes to, and then we'll do the targeted. Let's try to save some money here. Go ahead. Ed.
Jerry's idea was very good though.
Yeah, we'll leave that.
Because I hate when people tell me, you gotta do this, but I already did it.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and do that, you see what percentage you get, if you get 200 more apartments, then, that'll be 700, and then we can target the other. So we can do that.
I have to tell you, Adam wrote, so that you know, if you remember, Adam is the ad hoc committee for signing people. So Adam and I had a conversation by email, and Adam says, it's not working, I don't capture enough people going through. But so he gave me a suggestion, I told Russell, it's gonna be incorporated in the next letter, in the next thing, about how to help them get onto the line. But we'll try this first, we'll see where we go, and Jerry's right, if we increase the number and we get closer, then that means that's less targeting we have to do. We have time to do it, we wanna get it done toward December, we wanna have this finished and be at the 80 percentile. It would be great to be at the 90 percentile, but I have a feeling there's 20% of the people that are not gonna sign up. Go ahead, Jeff.
I'd like to see actually, when it goes out like that, I'd like to see a picture, because they all have the same picture at the head of it.
Right.
If you don't recognize this, you're not getting our emails, sign up.
Right.
Okay, yes, Andy?
I think eventually we should do, what I recommend when there was a communications committee, which is, what's the restaurant, not the West Place that Joe owns, what's the other one? I bet you that he would love to give out some gift certificates to get people
No, we
into
have
the
this.
store.
We have it.
We have that. So,
Except that you won it, so we had to take it back, because you can't win as a board member.
Oh, that's.
No,
No, I'm teasing you, Andy, you didn't know that, I'm only joking. I'm joking, Andy.
that offer is still on the table. We figure that once
No, I didn't
we
realize
get a
that.
larger population voting in, we'll do a random select, and
I
there'll
didn't
be a
realize.
free dinner at
I meant
Nemo's.
everyone should just get $5 off, and then they walk in and he gets more customers.
Oh, you mean a $5 off thing instead of a two
Oh,
dinners?
that's a registered idea.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I've discussed that.
because I bet you he would like more people to go into his restaurant.
That's a good idea. You
I
can
can
talk-
talk.
Okay.
I haven't seen him in a while, but I'll see if I can reach out to him.
He's talking about $5 off one dinner
If they
of
just sign up.
900 people.
No,
It's a
500
$4,500.
people, we already have 500.
Right.
We already have 500, so we're looking at the next 500, right? So we're telling him 500, you're talking about $2,500 that he has to invest in this thing to get business. It might be worth it to him. It might be worth it to him. Go ahead.
Alright, next item on the agenda, the bike storage.
Go slow, Andy likes this part.
Our recent bike initiative has been relatively successful. We have identified spaces and assigned them to shareholders, many of whom have been on the waiting list for many years. For those still on the wait list, it is currently on display in the reception area of the management office. The following is the current inventory of the indoor bicycle storage. 70 LaSalle, we have a total of 45 spaces, 29 are assigned, 16 available. 80 LaSalle, 43 spaces, 41 assigned, 2 only for small bike spaces are available. 501, we have 45 total spaces, 41 have been assigned, 4 are awaiting signed agreements, and we have 9 available spaces. 549, we have.
No, one available space, you jumped one. There's one available
Oh,
space.
sorry.
Okay.
We have 1 available space in 501. In 549, out of 54 total spaces, we have 40 signed agreements, 4 pending, and 9 available spaces. So to break it down, we have a total of 187 total spaces. We have signed agreements on 151. We have 7 awaiting to be assigned, signed agreements, and we have 29 available spaces. So basically, at this point, it looks like, we'll be at a point where everybody who wants indoor bicycle storage will have it.
Not true.
So there was a motion earlier about reducing the fee for bike storage, and so I think the issue was sent back. I think John suggested taking it back to the amenities.
Well, we tabled it and moved it back to the amenities committee.
That was about 2 months ago. So can you give us an update?
I have nothing to tell you. They
You're
haven't
the
told me.
liaison, right? So
Yeah, but they haven't done it. They haven't discussed it.
I think it was last.
So is there
It was just last month.
Wait,
Oh, no,
wait,
last
let me
meeting,
finish.
last meeting.
Last meeting.
I think
So,
it's-
wait, let me finish. So what was, so basically so there was a motion to reduce the fee, because I think part of this was dependent on if the new people who are gonna be renting, at what cost is it gonna be renting, is it gonna be the full cost, is it gonna be half cost, I think there's a motion.
No, it wasn't.
I
It had
think
nothing to do with that.
Okay, so.
No,
what's your
don't
plan?
say,
What's
don't
your
say,
plan?
wait, 1 second, please.
Okay.
Don't say okay so quick. The motion had nothing to do with giving a reduced fee to anybody in terms of a half year, or
Okay,
quarter
so
year,
it was
or
just
full
to
year.
reduce the cost from.
Completely.
From 120 to 60. So what are the next steps in terms of moving forward with that motion? Because it was
Well,
tabled with the expectation that there would
When
be some action.
amenities committee has something to tell us, they will tell us.
Well, the amenities committee has to meet, and they haven't called a meeting in a long time.
Okay, so I'll find out from the chair what the story is.
So in the next meeting, you'll report back to us. what the
No,
steps-
I didn't say that. I said I will speak to the amenities chair, and then she will tell me.
So this is indefinite then, we should wait indefinitely to hear back on this.
This isn't a, look, I will act as quickly as they do, but I want you to understand something. This is an above-the-line fixed set of money. This is something that goes into the budget to make it run. This is not a frivolous thing that we throw away the money or throw away the space.
No one is saying that.
No,
I
no,
think-
but, I want everybody in this room, everybody on the board, everybody understand this. When something is above the line, you don't cut back, because that means you have to raise something else. So, when they come back, we'll think about it here at the board, but they have to come back to us.
So the short answer is it's indefinite, but whatever happens.
Dan?
So Sabrina, in going through the list, has what's the total storage list actually? Like, how many people are on the waiting list total?
About 13 right now.
Only 13 people are actually on the list?
We're at the end of the list. And then we have to find out why the people outside aren't putting their bikes away, because those things are only temporary, remember, that's not permanent full-time storage.
So we basically have more space than we have people.
No, at once the 13 respond, we'll probably, have a couple of spaces that help, because out of the 13, some residents actually requested 2 or 3 spots.
Okay.
But remember, that the family can request as many spots as they want, as long as they pay for all of them.
So everybody who's,
And by the way, when you have, if I may, when you have empty spaces, it's not a good time to cut back on prices, because you wanna keep the full amount, because you're not filling these prices. And when you have a demand, an over demand, you certainly don't cut your prices. So,
no, actually what you're saying, what we're saying is we have, it looks like we have more supply than demand. Yeah, but we do, right?
it's more than barely. I don't think we have 29 people left on the list, she said 18.
So that is actually,
Yeah.
so, yeah, that is, economics 101 says that is when you lower your price, that is when you seek your equilibrium, which you are not at right now.
Or you take away the outdoor space, the outdoor temporary racks, and see if that increases demand.
Right, first you gotta get rid of the
What
racks.
do you charge for?
No, you don't, there's no way to charge for them, there's no way to guarantee who's gonna park there, there's no way to inspect it, there's no way to know anything.
There's stickers and all
That does not help, look, you have a limited public safety staff. Those are the people that will check, like the garages, to make sure everybody's parked and has stickers. You can't add to their burden the fact that they're gonna check bike racks to find out who has a sticker and who doesn't, because that's not what their purpose is. Their purpose is to keep us safe. So there's no one going to check those stickers. But when it's in a room with a key, you can check that room. I'm sorry, I think I saw your
Yeah,
hand,
it's
Gabriel.
just, since we're on the topic of the outdoor spaces, for the future.
No, we're not on it, we're talking about the future.
For the future, one of the solutions could be for charging for the outdoor racks, would be to have racks that are numbered. And
they don't necessarily have to be monitored by security. You could just tell security if somebody took your number. But that's something I want to throw out to everybody for, maybe we can discuss it later.
Okay, go ahead, Chief.
Okay, this is very simple, but he went
Oh,
before me,
sorry.
so that's
Sorry.
all right. Yeah, speaking of the bike, I thank you for working on the indoor bike storage. Yeah, regarding the outdoor, I know it is temporary, but it is, I don't know, which committee is responsible for the outdoor biking options?
I think it's amenity combined with grounds. It's kind of
Okay.
a joint venture between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're working together, because if they had to work on where they were gonna put these 5 bike racks, that's how they worked it out.
So they will, I think in the future, after all these projects are done, and then they are going to work on outdoor space, bike spaces.
I know it was
Maybe.
already a discussion in general, but yeah.
Because, yeah, the question is, if they do want to find certain spots for bike storage, I suggest they find a better place, because I heard people have, got their bags stolen on the racks outside, yeah.
And have they
There's
reported that?
One family, I think you know, they
They've
lost
reported to public
2
safety?
bikes.
They have
Yeah,
to.
no,
We have
Captain
photographs of
Moncaro,
somebody.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was caught, but the 2 bikes, one family
Well-
lost.
Well, isn't that even a better reason to protect your bike by garaging it?
So, yeah, so I
Okay.
just had that.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, next item is the storage lockers. With our recent buyout of Bargold of our storage lockers, management has been working to transfer the information from the lists to provide a better format, better suited for Morningside. Once validated, the wait list will also be posted in the reception area of the management office. Laundry room upgrades. We'd like to take this opportunity to update all residents of the new and exciting updates taking place in our laundry room. In addition to the new machines, the laundry rooms will be improved to include new tile floors, additional lighting, new oscillating fans, new tables and carts. Although less noticeable, the facility is also undergoing necessary plumbing, electrical, and ventilation renovations.
If I might say, I actually had the ability to gain entrance into both laundry rooms 5 and 2. And 2 was it was further along than 5. I think, I know you can't satisfy 100% of the population of this community or any community, but in terms of what it will look like when they go into this place, it will look thousands of times better than it did before. It's brighter, it's cleaner, the way they hooked up, they did much better job in terms of what our needs are and how it should look than has ever been done before in the 50-something years prior to this, when laundry rooms were being used. I think it should be an overwhelming satisfaction. Yeah, James.
This may not be the appropriate time, and if it's not, then we can defer it to later in the discussion. But since we're gonna have new laundry rooms, there's an issue in building 4 with unauthorized users, and I don't have any idea what we can do about that.
Okay.
They come from across the street, they have keys to the building, and they use the laundry room.
Let's discuss that, I think we'll discuss that more in closed session.
That's a serious thing.
Yeah.
That's been going on for a while. I think residents are giving friends keys to the building.
Gee,
Yeah, I have seen, I took a quick look the other day when our building 5, the laundry room door is open. It's really nice, I like it a lot. But,
that's one satisfied shareholder right now.
some people seen it, like in the morning, before they went to work that morning. So, but they were concerned, they asked me, the tile floor are very good, but is it slippery or like, will people like slip or something? But just a concern, that's people ask me, I say, I don't know.
It's a vinyl
You
tile
have water on it?
similar to the hallways,
Right,
and
so
they
that.
should be.
But it's not asbestos, it's a vinyl tile, it's a
Right.
more durable tile.
Is there any way like they will finish on time?
Yeah.
Just-
It looks like
Yeah.
everything's gonna go on time.
Oh, great, yeah. I think, yeah.
Dan?
What happened in August,
Completely lost. Basically, there were some machines, they were ordering machines to supply our rooms. There was a holdup with 2 of the large washers. It went past the time we were comfortable with, so we finally called them and said, I'll take the 80%, leave the 2 older machines in, just let us launch and get everything running. By that time, we already ran the system. So there's really, I think I take more of a responsibility for the delay, not much of an August the way I wanted it to.
And the schedule for the remaining buildings?
It's gonna be about, every 2 weeks, we're gonna close 2. The next set of buildings, I think we notified today,
Yeah, I got my numbers.
which is building 1 and 4, I believe.
Got it.
Then the final 2 buildings. will
What
be
are the
2
people
weeks
across the
after
street
that.
gonna do now?
So,
Do they want?
wait,
You
so,
really, this,
so they were notified that their rooms are gonna close in how much time?
On
Yes,
next
I got the
Tuesday-
notice
next
today.
Monday.
How much?
We notified them today, it's gonna be closed down next Tuesday.
So you were giving them a week's notice?
Yes.
So everyone's gonna get like a week ahead, they're gonna see notified, and
Yes.
then the next week, so they have that ready.
Yes.
We
I
got
just
notified
wanted to
today.
get the answer.
But it's not just like, obviously, because the
I know,
Yeah.
that was different,
Buildings were-
absolutely right,
Right.
absolutely
The
right.
last round went out to, and I apologize for that here, I'll explain in a second. I just wanna give other additional information about the transition with McRae that people have been concerned about. After inquiry, McRae has confirmed your current laundry carts will work with the new equipment, and the readers will be upgraded to accept the ever-changing currency. 'Cause every time we turn around, there's a new $5, new $1 bill, they need to stay on top
The
of that.
$5 bill's gonna have a
to
color in
accept.
it,
Um,
it's gonna be red.
so I do apologize for the short,
Oh, you should know, that's the question.
I do apologize for the short notice on the launch of buildings 5 and 2. We were hopeful the new rooms functionality and appearance will make up for our eagerness to begin this very important project. So I do acknowledge we notified people a little too late. We did have notices up, it was problematic, we lost an even additional day. We planned to get it out by Wednesday or Thursday, it really didn't go up till Friday, and my fault for that. At that point, I did not wanna delay all of the projects once again another week, so we did rush and push it forward on the buildings 5 and 2.
With the currency, I thought we was accepting rupees or something. Finally.
Next item on the agenda is the
We'll accept rubies, I don't know about rupees. Go ahead.
is the maintenance, our maintenance department report. In the last month, we had 128 reported work orders, 77 shareholders responded favorably. We were awaiting feedback from 51 shareholders, none were unsatisfied with the performance of the building staff. Our sales and transfer report for the month of July, August, and September, 4 units closed and 2 units are pending to close. There is 1 potential scheduled interview for the next TSC meeting on October 1st, and there are 7 units under contract or in contract. Currently, there are 22 apartments on the market. 4 new units were placed on the market between July and September. There have been 22 closings so far this year.
I have a question.
Sure.
So sorry I missed the finance committee last week, I was out of country, but there seems to be an inconsistency here on this report. It says we have flip taxes to year of $814,000. That's to the end of July, so we can take out what was done in June and July, and it's like $690,000 as of May 30th. But then in the 6-month audit, we have $295,660 for our flip taxes. Why is this so different?
Close of business June 30th.
June 30th, this report is up to
Okay.
date.
Right, so therefore, as I said, as of May 30th, if you subtract the 125 that we pulled in June and July, that takes you down to 690,000. This says 296,000. Those numbers, there's no number of the,
Yeah, it
as,
doesn't seem to be
it
adding
doesn't
up.
make sense,
It doesn't seem to be adding up.
not even close, hundreds of thousands of dollars of discrepancy.
I'll double check it with Frank on his numbers, and then I'll actually give Minnie a call and talk
No,
about
because the
how
closing
that,
dates are September.
how that came up in the audit. I thought it was, initially I thought it was because it was a 3-month lag, but the numbers are.
If I get what Andy just said,
It's $400,000.
he's saying that the number is $400,000
Yeah.
at the closing in June. Am I correct, Andy? Is that what you're saying?
690 as of May 30th, and then as of July 31st, 814.
So what's missing actually is June from the.
Oh, this is as of June 30th, so in between, so for these numbers to work out, this number would have to be in between 814 and 690. But 296 is not in between 814 and 690.
I think you're right.
Yeah, there's something that's
Pretty
right.
simple.
I'll talk to Frank and, the accountant.
Yeah.
Could you email the board on this, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like before the end of the week? Is that okay?
Sure.
All right,
So,
everybody, you'll have an email explaining that, whatever that means. Okay.
A rodent issue. Over the course of the last couple of months, we attended a meeting with local officials, representatives from our neighbors, and the New York City Department of Health and Welfare to discuss an uptick of activity on 123rd Street. Based off the recommendations, we cleared some areas where the rodents seem to have been nesting on our property and increased our rate of extermination. Our neighbors also agreed to modify some of their behavior on how their trash is stored and brought to the curb for sanitation pickup. Overall, the measures everyone seemed to take resulted in a significant decrease in rodents in the area. We will continue to keep a watchful eye and address new problems accordingly. I'd like to offer a special thank you to Maitri Singh, who put us in touch with this particular community group. Thank you, Maitri.
If I might share with you an amusing story. Yesterday, I received an envelope in my mailbox. The envelope has my name on it from the Department of Health. The address is 90 LaSalle Street, 7F, something or 7B. The postman, knowing that I lived in that building and it had my name, delivered it to me. That was supposed to be delivered to the management office. They don't have an apartment, and they're not 90 LaSalle. This is how screwed up city government is. And they did the water, and they do the water bill the same way. They send it to 90 LaSalle or 80 LaSalle, apartment something.
Something like that. It's 7C
It's
or
weird.
something weird.
So they have called 311, and they keep telling them, you do not have the right address. Never mind the right person, you don't have the right address. So we may be missing mail that we don't know about somewhere. It may come to bite us in the back, but right now, hopefully, we're getting the mail into the management office.
I mean, over the last year, I probably met with about 10 shareholders who individually got some kind of correspondence meant for the corporation being delivered to their mail at their address. Very odd.
Hold on, everybody. Is there an attendance
Yes.
footboard somewhere?
What's over there?
Thank you, Dan. Would you let Keith, would you sign in and let Keith sign in at the bottom? And would you continue to pass that around the room?
No,
Because,
we don't have a quorum.
well, only in your mind, but in reality, I know we do. Okay.
Last item on the open session management agenda before we get to Keith is the apartment inspections. Notices were distributed to all residents advising them the start date for apartment inspections. All shareholders are invited to attend a special town hall meeting scheduled for Monday, September 29th at 7 p.m. where in Building 1 Rec Room, where management and the board members will respond to questions related to this project. If you are unable to attend this meeting, please email your questions to mhhcboard, B-O-R-D, at twcmetrobiz.com by 5 p.m. Friday, September 26th, and your question will be read aloud at the meeting. If you're not available on the scheduled date of your inspection, please contact Rosalind Echeverria in the maintenance office to reschedule the date. That concludes the open session
Well, not,
management report.
yes, but we're not concluding open session.
No.
We have a special guest today. We have Keith Wordy, who is here because I've asked him to come because there are issues that I want to have him address in terms of errors, well, what we consider to be errors on the part of FSR in handling our billing of various items, our information about kilowatt hours, mailing of material, and anything that he doesn't address, the board should feel free to ask the question, but we'll do it in the same orderly way. Okay, Keith, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. Happy to see. So I had Russell put together a list for me of some of the issues that the building's been experiencing in regards to the maintenance billing. I have to say it's less than impressive and one that needed to be dealt with immediately and swiftly. And I had the big issue that we were experiencing, some of the storage, if it's a change in bicycle, anything that there may be, we can look at those apartments, pick certain apartments out, view them, and make sure that that information is uploaded properly. Also in regards to the pricing that we are getting in regards to electric, we can view that as well. One of the things that will still be a challenge that we cannot control, as Larry was talking about before, governmental agencies, is if Con Ed's not getting us the information timely, that's gonna be our challenge. But I know in the past what we've done is we spoke about we'll get estimates and then we can true it up the following month. What generally will wind up happening is around the 20th of the month, Russell is required to have any changes for the bills to go into the accounting department. By the 21st, 22nd, we do a preview of the bills, we can do a preview, and then thereafter, about another day or two after is when the bills are going to be issued. So I'm hoping, and I'm fairly confident, that this will assist us significantly in regards to what's been going on, because, as I said, personally, I'm not happy.
Okay, anybody?
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear, I'm very glad you're saying that, because what's happening, I mean, obviously, people in the community are up in arms.
Sure.
The bills are coming, they are incorrect, the electric's incorrect, they're late, they're also, 2 years in a row, I believe the 1098s have
Correct.
incorrect information. It has made you guys look very bad. And it's been putting a damper on things. So when someone writes a letter complaining about something, at the bottom of that letter, and by the way, the maintenance bills are wrong, or it's constantly on people's minds. And the thing that's most irksome to me is this isn't your first year, this is your third year here. And I just went back and see errors in January, March, June, July. And also the transfer from Click and Pay to ClickPay was really disastrous. So I'm hoping that this really is very, very high priority first.
Oh, it absolutely is, and what wound up happening with the transfer from Click to Click is that, yes, K to C, is the benefit of C-Click is that they actually now have, rather than the management office having to respond to the questions, they provide customer service, and they do that, and we get immediate responses. The issue is the timing, and I'll take accountability for it. This building should have been one of the first buildings to go through. You're one of our larger accounts, and you generally wanna go through hiccups. You don't wanna have hiccups, but the reality is you'll go with your smaller accounts and then work your way up. So we're trying to deliver a better service quicker to you, but at the end of the day, sometimes when you do that, you should be a little more patient. So that's what happened there. In regards to the 1098s, the 1 year we had the numbers wrong, and then I think this past year what wound up happening was the president's letter was not inclusive in the second one. So, we do have that, so it was 1 year was bad information, the other was not having all of the information. Either way, it's wrong. Doesn't make a difference, and people then have in their minds that it's not gonna be correct in their perception. We gotta change that. So we need to have consistency on those bills going out properly, or if they're not gonna go out timely because of Con Ed or another reason, and that's gonna help also with the website, the more people we get in touch with electronically, paper's great, but that way they get immediate, answers to the questions. We gotta roll that out and do a better job with our communication. So it clearly is on the radar. We had probably between us about an hour conversation, and we identified an approach that just what I went over that I believe will improve this, and hopefully we'll be dealing with other issues rather than this. And hopefully if I come back, when I come back.
Well, you're coming back
we'll
in
say it's
December.
better. Correct.
That's your annual meeting.
So I will see you then, and hopefully it'll be.
Mind you.
So, I think when there's delays in bills coming out and things, I think in addition to the electronic messaging, I think it would be helpful to put just even like in the mailboxes, if people expect to get bills in certain days, just preemptively put kind of signs on the mailboxes saying, we know that your bills will be, like, if there is anything, but I think, because that's what people, like the anxiety stuff's coming, it's expected on the 28th of the month or whatever, and you know that it's gonna be late, so instead of just relying on 50% that have electronic, communications to kind of make it more visible, because I think that allays fears. If you know that the bill is coming late, just like make it visible.
Yeah, it's a very
make it
good
known.
point. I think that's what we can do.
Of course,
And,
absolutely.
and other question that I had was, so there was the whole star issue as well, can you say a little bit about it?
It's the timing of the star, yeah, that, it comes down to the city. And when we receive it, you can try to force it out, and then again, then you have the issue of bad information. What we try to do is we try to make sure that we're reviewing this information, the information we're putting in is proper. So, you know, we don't wanna be put in a position to, you know, potentially then provide bad information and have these discussions again. It's a timing issue with the city.
And so you said, as in terms of prevention, then Russell, then you said you'll have, on the 20th is when you expect to have it, and the 22nd will kind of review, you'll.
Right,
review
Sabrina
it.
and or myself will review the,
Right.
spot check the bills themselves.
And is it also, I know that Tawana was the person who's also doing, like, who's very hands-on in terms of the billing piece, would it be helpful to have someone like her be involved?
Oh, absolutely,
so
absolutely,
that she
it is definitely a team effort in the office that would be
Okay.
involved in this.
And it's also accounting as well, it's not just this office,
Correct.
it's multiple people reviewing. We can't try to minimize these type of issues from reoccurring or to minimize.
Especially at those critical time frames.
Yes, when you know,
Yeah,
especially when you know you have any sort of changes,
Right.
it has to be viewed multiple times. Yes.
It doesn't, you know, again, I think the repeated mistakes, reflected badly on everybody. You know, I mean, it certainly reflected badly on the board, and, you know, and then the step back reflected badly on FSR, so I'm glad to hear stuff is happening with that. A couple of things, you know, I mean, I think people understand what Con Ed is, and I think people understand what the city is, and that, you know, both of them are kind of, immovable, bureaucracies. So if there are things where those relate, I don't know, you tell me, it doesn't seem like it's too hard to put in the maintenance bill. The city was supposed to have, you know, the tax information on the 15th, we didn't get it, that's why this is not here.
Absolutely.
In the actual bill itself, or, you know, Con Ed was supposed to have the
Yeah.
electric charges here this day, they were not here. Your bill will be estimated this month and then catch up next month. Just to let people know.
We can absolutely do that, because we know by the we know by the time we get the bills, we can get the note in at the same time if we don't have it. So we can create a note with the bills.
Okay.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And it's done by your office back there, right? It's the back
Correct.
office.
Correct, we have to come up with the message, and then we will then
Yeah.
provide it.
Sharon?
And then, as far as auditing, as, you know, what charges are there, you mentioned something about auditing, I think, but, you know, if there are charges that are not being, just not on the bills, for instance, if somebody's parking, goes away and they don't pay it for 6 months because they're not being charged for it, or, you know, storage or whatever, you'll have a way to audit that to make sure that all of that's happening, right?
Yes, that should be able to be done at the same time when we're reviewing the bills of what changes that there are.
You'll be able to do that in your office.
Well, it's gonna have to be done here, because
Okay.
they're gonna have a list, and they're gonna look to ensure that those
Okay.
items were updated.
That's more than spot checking then, that's actually, because what we've had happen, Keith, is, in a small number of cases, people have mysteriously lost the bill on their statement for parking, just disappeared.
The charge on the bill.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Well, I think there was some bicycle
Might have
storage
also
that,
been-
you know, had been gone for, you know, not you guys, but, you know,
Right.
they were gone for 5 or 10 years. So, you know, something obviously happened. But, you know, so just a way to audit that and make sure that essentially, we have X number of spaces, we should be getting about this amount of money, this is how much was billed.
Right, and again, even if it's not that month, what we also do, and I know Russell's very good at it, is when you get the monthly financials, we're looking to see what the budget is and what's collected.
Yeah.
And if there is a variance, we should be able to provide a reason why, and that's
Yeah.
another checkpoint.
Okay, and finally, if there's like a screw up and something goes out and another thing has to be mailed out, who pays for that? Do we pay for it? Do you
Yeah.
guys pay for it?
If the screw up's due to us, I'll assume responsibility for it.
Any other, yes, ma'am?
And the flip side of it is that, I used to have, game room, I used to pick the game room, and then I dropped out of it. This time I was charged again for it. So the flip side is being charged for something that you're no longer supposed to be paying for. So then, I think the audit.
People are more likely to report that than we're not being charged. For some reason,
Right.
boom, you know.
But can we do
We-
an audit on both sides so that?
We can, and again, like most of this, at least on that side, don't want it, but it's correctable well, you get the call, we credit the account, or we can debit the, you know, the
But
account.
why, I guess I'm
But it
curious.
shouldn't have to come down to that.
Is it a checkbox that wasn't unchecked, like what happened so that,
I'm not sure
Yeah.
specific due to your situation, but if I
In
remember
general.
correctly, there's an Excel spreadsheet that basically
Okay.
goes to the main office, we can use that Excel spreadsheet. And again, spot check, I mean, are we gonna check every single one? You know, you can't do that, but if you look and you see, you're looking at 30-40%, you're not missing one, well, we're good, all of a sudden you see two on just parking's popping up, well, we better view all the parking changes. And as I said, with the maintenance bill, that's a good idea, once we know if it's gonna be, we can put a note right there.
Yeah. Any other questions? Keith, I wanna thank you so much for coming tonight.
Oh, my
We
pleasure.
appreciate it, and we'll see you in December for our end of year renewal.
Okay,
Thank you.
looking forward to it, thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we are now up to the treasurer. If the treasurer doesn't want,
We have in the packet, 6 months.
and by the way, Keith, we're gonna hold you to it.
I know you will.
Most people were at the, finance meeting, and in your packet, or actually passed around, was the updated 6-month financial statement as audited by, Mindy Moore and her firm. And there, at the meeting, there were a couple of, tweaks to the report, and that's what was amended. The highlight of the report, and the thing that Mindy chose to focus on is the fact that the commercial rents were down, as we know, and the flip taxes were down. Now, we're looking to this situation that Andy brought up, but at that meeting, the flip taxes were down, and she saw red flags with those two items, coupled with the harsh winter, the high cost of employees over the winter, the high cost of materials, and the retirement packages that we put together. It's just a star that the budget is, I think it was the 300,000 shortfall. So at 6 months' time, we're looking at a little bit of a shortfall. Russell has been diligently trying to make up a lot of it. We don't know where it's gonna go, but that is the highlight of the 6-month audit. Actually, it's 200,000, so.
Mike, come on, you gotta share.
So we're looking at about a $200,000, the budget being $200,000 short, at 6 months.
No, we're 200,000, 196,000 positive.
We're a little ahead of
We
it.
are good.
You're really being pessimistic, I'm pessimistic, but you've surpassed me now.
But she was actually, it's a timing issue, and there are those items on the list that need to be looked at.
That could affect that,
So-
that,
I think, in our July meeting, Russell's report was showing about a $300,000
shortfall.
shortfall. Mindy looked at, Mindy's numbers show $200,000, positive, but again, some things are due to timing. We have to look at the situation with the flip tax that came up, but I have a feeling that the report in the board packet is not correct, that Mindy's numbers are probably more accurate than, what's in the board report, unless we sold a lot of apartments or something else. So, there is a motion in the packet to accept this, I will read it, the finance committee recommends that.
No, read the last part. The other one.
Board
Move that the board of directors approves the amended draft financial statements for June 30th, 2014 and June 30th, 2013 as submitted by Mindy Eisenberg Stark, CPA, at the finance committee meeting of September 15th, 2014.
Okay, now there's no second necessary because it's from the committee, so we can go right to a vote, if that's.
Or maybe discussion.
Yeah, we need to.
We can have discussion, but I was assuming that we had discussed this at the finance committee, but I remember you weren't there, so go ahead.
I
So,
could be.
go ahead. I understand,
Yeah,
I wasn't.
yeah. So, the flip tax stuff is below the line, which is not what we're talking about with our 200 surplus, right?
No.
So do we want this, do we think the problem is, or discrepancy, because Jerry whispered to me, maybe this is accrual versus cash, this discrepancy I found, it's a
It's
lot.
not, I don't believe it's in Mindy's numbers, I think Mindy's numbers are correct.
So we don't wanna wait till
No.
we hear from her to
No.
look at this? Why not?
Because we'll correct it at the end of the year, but I believe she's correct.
Here's the thing, the apartment sales are down this year. Last year the flip taxes were 690,000, and you're saying this year they're 800. So to me, it looks like the report in the board package is incorrect.
And I wonder about actually the flip taxes, you know, what I was saying is, the accrued versus cash. But I would think that flip taxes are all in the year, not as opposed to, say, arrears, where if somebody sells their apartment, flip tax occurs when you sell it. Where
Yeah, but
the
maybe
arrears
check
that
it
would
out
pay
again.
would be something that would be put in the audit, put in, what's the word I want, accrued. So, I don't know.
Well,
It-
anyway,
it-
if Mindy looks at the numbers and they change,
Right,
even
right.
though we approve them now, we're fine.
Here's what we're
It's only
fine.
6 months
If-
anyway.
If I may,
Yeah.
we're fine because it's not money that goes into operating, it's into reserve.
Yeah, no, it's below the line.
And the annual audit at the end of the year will correct, if there is this mistake, which I really doubt there's a mistake, it will correct it for the annual report. Okay.
But it would be good to get, you know,
Oh, we're gonna have an answer.
Yeah.
It's gonna be emailed to you.
Okay.
Russell's gonna have this answer for us. Am I correct? Isn't that what we're doing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, we're going to vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay. John, anything else? Okay. We're up to the president's report. So, I want to say that on the 18th of September, this is for the record as well as everything else because we have to make sure this is in the record. On the 18th of September, at 8 o'clock in the evening, we conducted the first of our town hall meetings dealing with open market. It was okay attendance. And the second meeting we held was on the 21st of September, Sunday afternoon, from 4 to 6 p.m. These two meetings, I believe we managed to get to about 100, maybe 100 people. Now, there was a lot of activity on Sunday. I know that we had a green walk and there was a memorial, there's so many things going on. But I know that right after me, the first thing we're gonna do is have the bylaws advisory committee chair, who's also the second vice president, to discuss this whole thing that we're heading for. But I wanna point out to everyone here in this room, for the record, for the minutes, for everything else. At this moment in time, 51% of all shareholders is equal to 490 yes votes. And in order to pass this, we need 490 yes votes. Now, I know there's an historical thing that's gone on here where people thought they had the 490 or whatever number it was at the time, and nobody really worked. They didn't do what they had to do. But on the other hand, when they went to reconstitution, they had meetings in basement, they had meetings in lobbies. We're gonna have to do something as aggressive as that to make this happen. Because there can't be a malaise on this vote. There has to be, everyone has to cast a ballot. We have to get a huge turnout, and then within that huge turnout, we have to get 51% of all shareholders, which is at this moment 490 votes. Okay? Yvonne will move that forward after I finish. Next, on Monday evening, and by the way, every town hall meeting, and the first town hall meeting, there was very few questions, so we had almost an hour of other than, questions other than the, we had an open agenda. And in the second board meeting, we had an open agenda, even though the town hall meeting, even though Dan said, we're not soliciting questions, but we wanted them to ask whatever they needed. We want people to ask questions. It was about 50 in each one. about 50, which is not, either we got a tremendous yes vote out there that we have to tap, or we have a tremendous no vote out there we have to try to change. I have no idea. I talk to people, when I see them, I go, I didn't see you at Thursday's meeting or Sunday's meeting. Yeah, I couldn't make it. I said, you know what it's about, open market, right? Yeah. Do you have a position? Do you know what you're gonna do? Well, some say, I don't know. Some say, oh no, I'm for it. And some say, I'm not really sure. So, I think that's enough to come around to the conclusion that we gotta do something. As a board, and as if we get other volunteers involved. Now, the next meeting that we're having, town hall meeting, we'll have a similar type agenda where we'll deal with the inspections issue, and then there'll be time, if there is time, based on questioning, whether or not there is other time available to answer other questions. But that will be on Monday evening at 7:30, and we'll end at 9:30. Monday the 29th. Now, no, I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay, so based on that, we have a lot, this board has a lot of work to do in the next, like, what is it, the end of the month of October is the meeting, so I don't wanna recess that meeting to get the quorum we need, and I would really like to know that we have 490 people voting yes, because that would make everybody's life much better. So with that, I end my report, and we now move to the bylaws.
Are you taking questions on that, or, is that it?
You want a question? Go ahead, question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good point. I mean, I think there were some good ideas that, at the town hall I was at about what to do.
Well, I think she's gonna carry it.
Part of your,
Yeah, that's the point. That's what I'm saying, Dan. I wanted to get out of the way as soon as I can, if that's okay?
yeah.
All right. So with that, I'm gonna now go to the Bylaws Advisory Committee Chair and Second Vice President Yvonne Martin Kutsida.
Okay, so, as Larry said, you know, we had the 2 meetings, decently attended, interesting questions, people wanted some clarifications, and, by the way, there is going to be one more meeting that we will be attending. The Bylaws Advisory Committee will be there, and board members, if you can, should be there, and that's the MGCA meeting that is happening on October 2nd. We're all invited to be there, and it would be a great idea if you can attend that meeting. So, yeah, what happened a few years ago? You know, there was a little bit of going out there and talking the vote up and whatever, but not really enough. And this is a board initiative, and the board really has to take the bulls by the hand and make themselves available to speak to people. You know, and I know we've all said, oh, we're gonna talk to people and ring bells, but I think we need to be a lot more organized, and there are 2 areas that we need to work in. And Donna has helped me a lot with this, to make up some charts where I would like the board members to sign up for 2 items. We have a chart that will be for apartment polling, because, you know, it's not enough to be in the lobbies. We all know that you only catch a few people, even Adam, who was trying to do the, you know, beef up the website, you don't catch a lot of people in the lobbies. But we need to be in lobbies, and I think we need to pick specific dates, or commitments, and then we can actually put up a sign in that building and say that there will be a meeting about the open market question. And if, bylaws committee members are available to be there as well, they will attend. And, but it really is up to the board. And so I have this chart that will go around sometime this evening where we can sign up a date and a time for, there's a chart for each building. And, you know, it doesn't have to be your building or just your building alone. I think we really need to buckle down, and everybody needs to make a commitment here. We need to show our faces, we need to explain to people in small groups what it's about. So, and I think just sitting in a lobby on a given night without letting the people know we're going to be there will not be as effective as taking a look, signing up and saying, okay, this will be the meeting, according to how people sign up.
Yvonne, if I may?
Yeah.
when we do create these meetings, every meeting will be advertised to all people in all buildings, so that
Yeah.
if they know they can make that date, they'll get to that building. That's the intention, that we don't turn anybody away because we can't, you know, they don't fit. We're gonna find a way to get to everybody that we can get to at a meeting.
Right, and the other, thing that we need to do is actually go around polling. And that would be going around and asking people if they have voted, you know, if this will happen after they receive the ballots, which will be, they're supposed to be mailed out September 30th. They take a bulk mailing like that to the post office, so some people may get it as early as the 1st. Probably by the 2nd, people will have their ballots, and so they can start voting at that point. So we really wanna know, it's not that we're telling them how to vote or not how to vote, certainly you can tell people where you stand on it, but we wanna know who's voted and who hasn't voted, so that we only go back to those apartments. If you visit an apartment and they open the door and you talk to them, and they say they have voted, you just check it off on this list. Again, there's a list for every building, for each building. And then, for example, if 2 people are working the same building, you know, you can pass off the list. You may not do it the same evening or afternoon, so you could pass it off. For example, Gabe, you would pass it off to Chi, because you're sitting next to each other and you're in the same building. And then, you know, you go back and forth and you say, and we see who's been visited, because people who've been visited don't wanna be visited again if they've sent in their ballot. You know, if they haven't and they've forgotten, you know, there's some people, well, that's another thing to do. So I will, send these around in a moment. The other thing is as good as an explanation as the Bylaws Advisory Committee gave in their memorandum, I found that when we were explaining it and Doug was explaining it point by point before we went to the questions, it got a really good reaction when he would give an example of what this means, you know. And so tomorrow night, the Bylaws Advisory Committee is meeting, and one of the items on our agenda is to try to work up a FAQ that can go around and that we can go around with. And if you know shareholders who have the time to go around and participate in this whole polling idea and talking to their neighbors, they will get the FAQ as well. Because even there are some shareholders that said, you know, I get it, I understand it, but I'm not sure how to explain it. I got it, I understood everything. So we will work up a FAQ that will be ready hopefully by the end of the week.
You should know that we're getting the translation of the 2 documents that the Bylaws Committee's created and the board has created. We're not doing the proprietary lease and the bylaws, because that would require a more sophisticated legal requirement, because you have to make sure it meets other requirements. But the language that we use can be translated. The question we're trying to figure out is, how do we collate these together? Do we use a lot of paper to make it so that one way you read it, it's English, one way you're gonna, because it's either 2 pages or 3 pages you're dealing with, so it's not that easy. But I think by the end of the week, we'll have it figured out and we'll be able to move forward with that. Do you want to, I just wanted to add that to it, but, because you should have the information before you ask questions. Are they ready?
About that?
Ready? You wanna take questions
No,
right now?
yeah, we could talk about the
Okay.
open market. I have another
Maitri
issue I'm
first.
gonna
I'm
talk
sorry,
about in a
Maitri
moment,
first.
but let's finish open market.
Maitri?
So I think there was some, I came for the second day, for Sunday, and I think there was some really good questions that kind of solidified it. So I think we need.
So when you say, could you just say one thing? What does solidify mean in terms of what you heard? Do you think we've affirmed, we've moved forward in a yes way?
Yeah, I think we went through the kind of step-by-step process. It was still a lot needed. Like, I think it was still pretty detailed, and I think what we need to do is kind of take it up to a level that basically tells people what's in it for me, right? So what are the selling points? Why should someone adopt it? And I think by the end of that meeting, we articulated what they were. I think we came up with like 4 or 5 reasons, and I think it was, the trust issue was like a big one. So there are a couple of things that I think we basically need to now do a communications plan. We need to figure out how to sell it to people and simplify it in a way that doesn't go through point 1 through 7, because I think that's fine. That explains like each of the different points that we dealt with. But I think we need to have another sheet, and maybe that's what you're talking about in the of a visible campaign, so, you know, maybe even have an easel that says, why should I vote for it, and give like those 5 points, you know, and give those examples, like if currently, if, you know, we do have trust, and then if the price, whatever, if the tax is based on like 800,000, with the new price, it was based on blah, 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 and so your savings would be this. So really kind of like break it down in terms of.
Did you say saving?
Oh, whatever, right, so the reduction, so
No,
if
we got
currently
that.
the flip tax trust is based on, if you have a trust, if the flip tax
Oh,
is based on.
I understand what you're saying, okay.
900,000, but
I
the
just
value
got
is
distracted
now.
for a second, I'm sorry.
The
I
value
am
is now.
concerned about leaving out the points, any points, and I'll tell you why. Cause, you know, people always think, once they've seen one item, if you leave it off of another, sheet, they'll say, why are you leaving that off? But I
Yeah.
thought, but very simply, I think we can say something like, number 2 is really,
Housekeeping.
housekeeping.
That's
This
fine.
needs to be changed,
That's fine.
but not leave it off.
Right, no, that's fine, but I think
Yeah.
if you, like, you know, point number 5 will speak to you, and point number 2 will speak
Yeah.
to you, and so
Yeah.
I think it's different angles for different people,
Right.
we just need to kind of be comprehensive, but I think we need to simplify it, because it still was really complicated. It wasn't until
Yeah.
people kept asking the question over and over again, like, sell it to me, which is what they want people, they want us to do.
There were just 1 or 2 basic, there are 2 basic areas I think where people are confused. I think you're right. I think you should come to our meeting tomorrow.
Wait, I've got it more. James?
Yeah,
You-
is there a way to, in whatever we produce, is there a way to capitalize, maybe you've already mentioned this, I don't remember, on the unanimous decision of the board
Yes.
that reaches across any other divides? And as far as canvassing, campaigning, all that stuff, I would like to suggest that we mix up the Sabbath goal when we do that, and that we go out with people who are not necessarily our best friends and work that way.
We're all best friends.
You should know that there'll be a sign in every, a huge poster. I'm glad you said that, James, about the some way to communicate. There'll be a sign put up in every lobby on October 1st, I believe is the date we're doing it, because the mailing's on the 30th. And usually when the companies do the mailings like this, bulk mailing, they carry it to a post office and before close of business, and that usually is a 24-hour turnaround to get it to another borough. It's really that fast, so by the second, the latest, probably everybody in this community will have the proxy material in their hands. So, the sign, I gave something up, but I think Yvonne's reviewing it with Donna, but it'll talk about the fact that the board unanimously, is looking for an affirmative vote on this, and, we need you to vote yes.
And then let's put a face on it in public, that's my point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not just on-
exactly, and
not
that's
just on
why
paper, but
when we have
actually in
these
presence.
lobby meetings, as many of us as possible, it doesn't have to be it shouldn't be one person, it's gotta be at minimum 2, but it should be
It should be
even
two
more.
of us, I think.
Because everybody has a
It should be
different,
two, too.
if you all know you were all, those of you who came and sat at the table and you each had a different, angle, or you had some different input, so it would be very good, for at least 3 of us or more to be at every, the actual, those meetings, the polling is one thing, that whatever happens with that will happen. But I think that the
We
really,
have 2 more
really
questions.
important thing is the, lobby meetings, yeah.
Chief, I think it's next, and then Dan.
Yeah, I think, the lobby meetings, that's good. I have another suggestion. Since you have already, in the process of translating into Chinese, I believe we have more than, 100 families, Chinese families here. So I offer to do a Chinese session over the weekend.
Who are we gonna do that with?
Maybe
Who are you gonna
the
work with here on the board to help you?
Yeah, if you believe me. You can have someone monitor me and then.
No, it's not that I would believe, but who would you choose to be your assistant? I don't think there's anybody.
Maybe October 5th, that's a Sunday.
Whatever
Usually
you
Sunday
could pick,
afternoon.
whatever day you
And
pick,
then-
it'll be
yeah.
advertised, Chief.
Yeah.
No problem.
And then in
Really
Chinese,
needs to be
say in
advertised.
Chinese.
Yeah.
And then I'll set up like 2 hours, 3 hours here because people.
In this
come
room.
here.
You might
wanna
Yeah,
have it
here
here.
too.
Erwin Bronson, I
Yes,
spoke with him today and
he
he got.
emailed me, he
Yes.
said one of the Chinese
It's great.
neighbors
Two.
here.
Two.
Yeah, 2 now, they
Yeah.
don't
that he
communicated.
couldn't explain it to
Yes,
them.
so if I do, I'll be in Chinese.
It would be great.
Well, we
But
can do
if
that.
it-
What time do you want it on October third? Because we can already.
No, I
set-
think
I mean, October fifth, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a Sunday. I think that's most people already received the ballot, right?
Oh, I think they are.
And then the Chinese version should be ready.
Oh, we can have it by the end of the week.
Yeah, right. So I think by then people will have specific questions. I can do that.
If
On the
you
fifth,
could do it,
usually like
what
4
time?
to 6.
4 to 6?
4 to 6 or maybe 7. So I'll see how many, because usually people go out for shopping over the weekend.
Yeah.
Sunday and late afternoon, usually that's where we have parties or something.
Well, you tell,
So I'll do
you
that.
fill out on the form where you think it should be, what time it
Yeah,
should
and
be,
start,
and we'll take care of it.
Yeah,
We'll get
just
it
be
done for
careful,
you.
they really look the same, but one
Right?
says,
Whatever
when
happens.
it's, where it
Corporation
says
first, right?
lobby
Yeah,
polling,
we'll bump anyway.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be our meetings. I mean, we can always do polling in lobbies if we happen, you know,
No,
if I run
I'll-
into shareholders at the mailbox,
Well,
I want
we're
you
gonna
to
have,
stay.
whatever has to be bumped will be bumped, we will have,
Yeah.
the board
Yeah.
comes first on all these things.
I don't think there's anything, but
Yeah, I
you're
know.
right, that we
Yeah,
need to check.
maybe they have
So-
parties or something, but.
Okay, so the one that says lobby polling
It's a
will
birthday
be
party for 2
lobby
years old,
meetings,
that's all
formal meetings where, or informal
Yeah, I can
meetings, but
do
it'll be a
that.
meeting with a time, so what, you know, if we can figure out, somebody puts a time and and a few of us can make it. The apartment polling is a whole other ballgame, so I'll just start passing these around. I think if we are really, really organized and we're really proactive about it, we can possibly we could get those, get almost everyone to vote. For reconstitution, they got 80%
We need
of shareholders to vote.
We need about the same number, by the way.
We probably need to get the 51 affirmative,
We
we
need
need
80.
about 80,
Yeah.
you
Do
know,
we get
to
about,
vote.
like this last people in the lobby when, do we get that? Like about this last people can just drop in?
Oh, no,
Drop it
no.
in- No,
No?
this I think they can take to the office or mail it, they have a mailing.
This is what I believe. I believe we could do this. We could collect, as long as the ballots are sealed, we can collect them and carry them to the office and throw them in that, you know, the slot. We could do that, because we're not touching open ballots. No, just remember, nobody here can touch an open ballot. If someone gives you a sealed ballot that's addressed in the final envelope to, Honest Ballot Association, you gotta remember that you can't take it home with you. It's gotta go in the box, that's the only thing, all right? I think that's perfectly acceptable. So if you have a meeting in here, you can tell them, I would like you to go right there, I hope you, matter of fact, in the meeting, we should tell people to bring their you know something? If we have the meetings, we should tell them to bring their proxy ballots to the meeting, and they can vote then, after they hear the conversation. That might be a good way of getting even more votes out, rather than letting them go back and, you know, it's sitting underneath a pile of newspapers that they've collected for the week. And it goes 1 week, then 2 weeks, and before you know it, it's over, okay? How's that? Dan?
Two things, board members door to door, we don't do it during election.
But we're not running.
No, we do it for ourselves when we're running, but we don't do it, we generally don't, campaign door to door, there's nothing written out there, but.
No, there's nothing that prevents us from actively pursuing, going to shareholders and having a discussion at their doorway to tell them why they should vote. You're not trying to, you're conversing with them, you're always allowed to do that. You really don't wanna collect their ballot at the door, that's a little hairy.
Right.
But if they're in a meeting in a lobby, and they're all voting, and
Yeah,
everyone
I-
sees you collect it, that's a better deal, I think. But when you go door to door, you know, then people start to wonder, he took my ballot, did he mail it, didn't he, you know?
You know, I guess you could simply start out by asking them, you know, I just rang your bell to, remind you to send in your ballot, you know, have you sent in your ballot, and that is your opening,
Now,
you know, to have a.
now let me ask you a question, if I might, Dan, just about the meetings. Do you think it's good to do the lobbies, or to have lobby meetings, or for every building that we wanna meet, that we're gonna advertise for everybody, we put it in here?
We could do it in here, I mean, we don't
That's
have to
something
do
to
it
think
in the
about.
lobby.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dan, but I think that's something we should know.
I think the lobby is better.
you need to put it in the lobby.
Lobby is better.
Yeah, it's better in the lobbies, okay? Just so everybody agree, okay.
If you want
But
people
also,
come,
they
will
might be
come.
willing to come downstairs
Yeah, they,
from their
yeah,
apartment,
like our
but not.
building meeting, you
Yeah,
can see.
yeah,
We're-
when
You
they
got people
I
walking
think
through.
also,
Right.
alright, so,
Go ahead, Dan.
you know, you can have a lot of people who are gonna wanna see this passed besides the board. I think you can have a pretty good volunteer list, and you could also activate on this, and I think
We
that.
intend to.
Okay, so maybe I should do these meetings and stuff like that, volunteer sign up, I think it's key, building a list to say like, go do this, we can do this, to the extent you can, like, knock on your floor and all that other stuff. I also think, along those lines, I mean, maybe endorsement letters, not just us, but I mean, just like we do for candidates, get shareholders, you're gonna support this, we support, ballot, the violation.
That actually could turn out to be a humongous job, to get it signed and put together and get it mailed out. It might be more, I don't know.
That's a quick statement, we, the undersigned, support.
No, that's not the problem. I agree with the quick statement's easy. It's getting the signatures that you want. You wanna have at least 250 signatures on that document, at least 250. That's a lot of collection. That's even more work we're putting on, so you've gotta think about that,
I
Dan.
think we probably need people other than us to do it, and it's
Yeah.
an interesting idea, if we could.
If we can pull it off, great.
Pull it off.
On the literature, on James, maybe some headlines saying like, we don't agree on everything, but, we're something like that.
We agree on almost everything.
Almost every vote is unanimous, Dan. Didn't you notice that tonight?
Well, actually.
Almost every vote was unanimous.
Did we vote on honest ballot? Did we affirmatively say that they're gonna be running elections at the last one? We affirmatively
I think it was
did.
before the last one, I'm not sure.
We did it in the minutes, we did it in the flash report, we approved the motion for the expense of running it.
I just don't remember if it was June,
It's in the minutes we just approved tonight, Dan, too. Wait, well, I think Dan.
Oh, yeah. Are we counting as we go? I mean, you said, we're gonna be, we'll have.
Could you
targets.
pass out the,
They're
counting as we
they're
go.
going
Wait,
around.
we have
Well,
questions
James
about
is
those,
holding
maybe
it
not,
up.
no, because.
well, could you pass it all out first so that everyone knows what the question
Well,
is?
there's only one for each building.
I just wanna know what the time
You need
scope
to maybe
is.
get-
Well,
I
this
can't
is
look at
the
my
thing.
calendar for
When we
the
get
next
to count them, right?
four
The ballots, like, as they're coming in.
Well, look,
And one question was, the proxies as they're coming in, we are getting them, we're marking them down on a list, we're seeing where our gaps are, correct? As we go, we're not just keeping them in a lockbox until that day, right?
What's that?
We are taking
You
them
mean
from.
how many take a
How
number,
many,
take a
how many
count?
are there, and we're putting them on a list to say like who voted, who didn't, right?
Well,
Well, if they mail it in though, we can't do that.
no, you
We're
can't.
not allowed to
We
see
can
it.
know from the door, the only way to know if somebody actually mailed it in, I mean, we can get a count from downtown. At home, Honest Ballot will tell us how many they're receiving. Huh?
Why
Well-
don't we get, we should be able to know, like, who,
You can't know, the ballot doesn't contain a name, the final envelope,
Yeah,
I don't
think
believe
it has-
contains a name
no.
of who voted, it's just an envelope addressed to Honest Ballot.
So it's not the same
Prepaid.
proxy envelope that we have for the.
Yes, but that's inside.
But
Why-
you can still
yeah,
tell, you
open
can
the
still tell
outside
it.
envelope, why not?
Yeah.
That's the mail envelope, you open it in the mail. Here's your proxy, stick it in the box.
I
Take
don't
it
think,
out, throw it
I
in.
thought they said to us that they would not start opening the proxies.
No, the
Yeah,
proxy
I don't
should not be open.
No, open the envelope to get to the proxies.
A lot
I
of
thought
people
there was
have mailed
they
it
had a
in
restriction on it.
But, so that's why Donna did all this work. We have a list, but I have to make lists for everybody.
right, let me give
Lists
you-
for every building of the shareholders and the departments, there are some that, if it's an institution,
Okay.
there are some people, she even was able to figure out, some people who are out of town,
So,
so you.
what were you going with that? Were you saying that
Could I-
basically once we have the list and we know the word, like, are you trying to figure out when we have the
As
count?
you put these votes in, there's no reason why, we're not gonna open the proxy envelopes. I don't see why we can't open the US mail envelopes.
But I don't know if
I
the
don't-
mailing envelope has an return address, US mailing.
He wants to
It's
open
not
the
open.
outer envelope to get to the
It's
process.
being mailed here, it's being mailed here.
Wherever
It's
it's
going
going
out.
they should be maintaining a database on a regular, on a
Let's
real-time
check on that.
basis
Okay, we're gonna find out.
of
But-
which apartments voted.
Right, but I don't think they're being mailed here.
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no.
there is no
You're asking HBA to
Yeah.
keep track of
Yeah,
us?
I think they said they would do, it, but you see, here's the issue. I don't know when they said they would open the outer envelope, so here's what we're gonna do. Tomorrow you ask Donna to please contact HBA. and ask HBA, as the mail envelope comes in with the proxy inside,
Yeah.
when do they open that outer envelope to look at the proxy? Do they open it right away and record the name as the person voting? Not how they voted, just that the proxy envelope contains the name of the person or the apartment number and building number? Do they do that? If they do, are they sending it back to us? So every day we have a report on who voted.
And who's left, more importantly. who's
Well,
left.
no, we'll know who's left based on who
Right.
voted. You can't know who's left until you do
We'll have
that.
to figure out who's left.
No, but that's what we're getting at, right?
Oh, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the point of
Now,
it.
everyone should know that the 30th of October
Yeah, we have that.
is the meeting in this room. So that's the night that we have to have the quorum, and we have to have at least more than 490 ballots in the box, because if it's just 490, you might as well kiss this away, because we're not gonna make it. There's no way it could be just a perfect 490 yes votes. We need 490 yes votes. So, so we have every day leading up to the 30th. Weekends,
Right.
weekdays, everything. So you can pick any of those days, anytime you want the meeting, fine. Anytime you wanna go polling, fine. It's great.
Yeah, I would say, you know, I'm thinking, the mailing is supposed to be, Tuesday, the 30th. So people should probably have the ballots in their Wednesday or Thursday mail. And I think we should start these meetings starting Saturday, October 4th. You already, Chi has the 5th in the afternoon here for the Chinese meeting, which does not mean that we can't do something else in another building.
Right.
You know, so, you know, I don't know when the best time is to do buildings. Do you think that it should be the week, there are not that many weekends, but should they be weekends or should they be weeknights? Cause, you know,
We
try
could,
to
we
narrow
could
that
do it
down.
two ways too. We can have one set of building meetings at the beginning of the month, and one set of meetings in the middle of the month, building meetings. And then in between, we're doing the apartments, running, you know, getting people to run around and do whatever they're doing.
I think we definitely need some in the beginning. I think that, that the way the voting often goes is that you get a big push, you know, right at the beginning where people will mail
And right at
the
the end.
first week, and then there's sort of this dead zone of a week, or maybe 10 days, and then they start voting again towards the end.
So I think if you wanna have meetings, I think you should look at the 19th to the 25th as the second set of meetings. First set of meetings should be the 5th through the 11th. That's what I think would be a logical span between the two sets of meetings in the buildings. Does anyone disagree, or is everyone okay with that idea?
The 11th and then what?
The 5th to the 11th, and the 19th to the 25th.
Well, then I would say in that week in between, that's when we should start
Polling.
ringing bells, the polling,
Right.
that, not before,
No.
but after.
And then, of course, the last 3 days, the 27th, 28th, and 9, it's like, we gotta be like firemen running around and knocking on anybody we can get and make sure they voted, because we're doomed to failure if we don't get this
So
vote
we're
out.
canceling the board.
So no one's signing up. I just put it there, no one's signing up. She's right now. She's the only one that's not signing.
Chinese.
Thank you,
They are
Chief.
so good.
Okay?
You're not
I
signing
didn't
up.
sign up.
Jerry, oh wait, Jerry was first, I'm sorry, Jerry?
You know, I don't know what to put on those, to tell you the truth. As far as the lobby meetings, I mean, I'm fine to go ahead and do one by myself, so I'll just put some stuff there, but I think Dan has his finger right on what is most important. We need to have updated lists that we can all go to see who has already voted, whether it be from whatever their name is, Honest Ballot, or I was gonna say First Service.
So they're not involved in that, so.
Whether it's from them or from, that we go in and say, well, I talked to apartment 21H and 21, and so to knock those off and say they've already mailed them in, so that we have as, you know, as updated list as we can.
Right, the lists are ready for us for our, you know, our hands-on list is here.
But those
I don't
those
know.
have to be updated.
That's
because
the
there's-
Yeah, they'll have to be
I
updated,
can write on it that I've done it, but then Dan doesn't know that I've done
You
it.
should do Google Doc.
Yeah, exactly, Google Doc.
Oh, yeah, you're
Little
looking at
sheet.
the wrong person.
Well, wait a minute, we can get to it. Danny's an expert on it. We have help.
Google
We're
Docs.
not,
is a
we're not in the fast
collaborative
race like
document.
here.
Because, I mean, there are two things there. One
That would
is that we've made contact with somebody, and the other is we know that they've got.
So you would transfer all the building lists to Google Doc, and then as we filled out the paper, we can go to Google Doc and check the box and have it done.
Ideally, I mean, it's nice to say like, I talked to this person, blah, 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 I mean, it's gonna get sloppy, well, the real thing, I mean, that's good to know, I mean, it is good to record that stuff, it really is. We we should just be able to get these ballots, get these proxies, I mean, there's no reason why, you know, I mean,
Well, let's find
Wait,
out.
wait, do you wanna
Say
grab-
there's no
do you
reason.
wanna-
we wanna see, the proxy should update the list, that is the
Oh,
only,
yeah.
otherwise you're gonna get false positives. Sure, I sent it in, you know, if
Sure.
they
But
see
this
it,
is true,
yeah.
No, but this list was really, well, we don't know that, that's true. I mean, it's basically, this door-to-door one is, if you haven't spoken to an apartment, somebody could go back. You
So
know,
these are
so
different
the
columns,
the
right? One
proxy
is
one-
contacted, one is
No,
proxy.
one is
and-
voted.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Not
So you
voted.
have a few columns.
Yeah.
Let's,
These are I just have hard copies of this. What do you mean?
that should be a electronic someplace.
No, it was made up, we had to make it up. It's, each one is a building list. And the departments,
But she didn't do it on a typewriter, she did it on a computer.
well, she did it, she made it on the computer, right, but it's not like we pulled it out. But she created is what I'm saying. He said it must be someplace, it probably is on a computer.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's something we pulled down.
Right, point is, it's a Word document that then can be put into Google.
Right. We can get that.
Okay, so that's, okay.
Should make it Excel sheet.
Well, we could also, I mean, I know, I see people are hesitant to sign up for the calendar. Of course, we could do the calendar too, but I think we would really need to think hard and fast and quick about when you're willing to be in a lobby. You know,
That we
so-
should be able to walk away tonight with.
Yeah.
I signed up.
You came up with this
Is that the only one, Chi, or did you
Yeah,
sign
I
up?
signed up, everybody
She-
signed up.
You did?
Two of you, you
I-
need to sign
and
up.
Mike
I
Shea,
signed up.
Gene, I want to guarantee 100 votes from you. Guaranteed 100 votes from you.
I want to see
Yeah.
a leaflet with Dan Lowenstein and Larry shaking hands. We vote support this.
No problem.
So who in the world could not?
I will degrade, listen to me, there is no problem. I will degrade myself for this corporation. I will have no problem doing that. Dan might, but I will do whatever it takes for this corporation. Go ahead.
Number of requests are Yvonne?
Don't know your breath.
Yvonne?
Yvonne,
So tomorrow, I'm all for this, but my heart, I was like, oh yeah, I know what this all, I really got, and I missed these meetings, I was out of the country, but. Thank God.
you're putting it softly, you're the best place in the world, but
Anyway, talking points, a very, so, okay, you
Yeah,
said
yeah.
you can't do it for the lobby, you
I
need
hear
to
ya.
cover other points, but like, the executive summary, the elevator talk, whatever you wanna do, it's something to help us people who are not feeling it. What, give me something to read from.
Preaching.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the
Talking
agenda
points.
for tomorrow night's meeting. So-
okay?
Yeah, and as a suggestion, if we get the Excel sheet up in Google Doc, if people talk to people in the elevator, if you can try and note down who you talk to and
Yes,
compile it,
absolutely.
even if you can't put it in Google Doc, just send it to whoever's the designated person. You know, just so we can get all the information.
Yeah, I mean, we may not always be walking around with this list, so, you know, you have a piece of paper and say, I spoke to this person, and, you know, make a note, and then we can add it into the information, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
cause at some point, there's a lot of us.
people in elevators is a
Yeah.
wonderful thing, or laundry room.
We just assign one of us to each, like, just point us to each other.
I signed
Who's
up.
next?
Good, it's all yours.
Listen, you will be point people, I am willing to go to just about every meeting as finalist
One
chair,
person
I
goes-
will kill myself.
That's good, yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't
But I
have
think that's
visibility
good,
there, you
I
know,
think that's a
and-
good idea, if you,
So,
but you need
what
to
about-
volunteer.
Yeah.
All right, we got a crisis already. We got a crisis.
A crisis.
This thing came right around to me, and I have one person on this list having a meeting. This is a disaster.
No, it's a little more complicated, some of us that need to actually
Let's
be in
do
front of a
one
computer.
building by
It's too
one
hard on
building.
this, we try to see.
I just want you, you don't understand, my heart is palpitating right now because this is not a good sign when it gets to me,
Hey, Larry.
and I'm gonna pick a
Since
day.
that list went out, you said, oh, maybe we should focus on these dates and this, so like information is changing very rapidly.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a good idea for people right now to volunteer to be a building captain. I'm not gonna be a captain because I'm
Building
going.
6, Jerry told me.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
feel the.
I would've said six.
Well, I think there's something in every building. Well,
only one of us in building 4.
Yeah.
Yvonne, do you wanna have like, I mean, for those of us who are interested, you know, like another meeting, a quick meeting where we just get together and talk about where we're at with polling and this?
Yeah,
Just to organize us?
I think we need
Just-
to interface as often as possible. And whatever we can do, and, I think that's a great idea.
Just let me know.
Cause, you know, one building may be doing fantastically, and some of us may have to go, okay, I'm gonna help out at that other building because they're not doing well. So, okay, so I have building 1 captain, who's gonna be the captain?
Larry.
I'm working already on it.
Okay.
I'm putting down dates, I don't know, I'm filling it out.
I think
I'm not letting it come back to
No,
me.
but
and
you're
everything.
managing
Who's
the
the
building, it's not
building
just like
two
you're sitting in the lobby, you're in charge of all activity in building
Yeah.
one.
Building 2, who wants to be the captain for building 2?
Someone who lives in building 2.
I'll find something.
Just add me.
You can find
Building
something.
chair.
James, you're gonna be able to do building 4?
We all live in building 5.
I don't know.
Yeah.
John is building 2.
Cause
I
I'm
don't-
thinking,
I don't know, I work with them.
well, I'm gonna put down for building.
No, I was saying, no, this is not, this has to be board members. Then we need to, then if you know someone, if you know shareholders in different buildings who are willing to ring bells, that's a whole other level. But captains for this sort of thing have to be building,
Really, we're not
board
BAC
members.
members, they haven't done much.
Yeah, it's true. They're just like resting on their laurels. To be building captains, I doubt it.
Okay.
Because we're gonna be working
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this
yeah,
and
yeah.
working. Wait, I have.
Building 5 is taken care of, building 6, we have. Building
Okay,
Is it
John
my
will be
tree?
captain for his building. He misunderstood. He
Yeah,
thought
my
that
Building 3.
Absolutely.
No, my tree. Andy. Building 6.
The only person who signed up actually asked you to do it, I think you should do it.
I think Jen, since he lives there, should do
What,
it.
building 3? I'm doing
Yeah,
building
there you go.
Dan's doing building
You
3.
don't want my two still?
My tree should be, I'm co-captain on every building. My tree should be co-captain on every building. I'm putting you down as co-captain.
I'm on the show with Jerry.
Okay.
Oh, gee, this is so.
You know how to do, who's gonna do the Google Doc?
I know how to do
Gabe,
it.
you're gonna captain building 5 then, because
Yeah, that's
people
fine.
do too.
Yes, good.
Okay, you know, I'm willing, like I said, I will go to almost every, if I can, I will be
Wait, what's that?
there, and I will try to get
this done.
at least one bylaws advisory committee. Some of them might be away during some of this period, I know that we have a problem there.
Oh, my.
But I will encourage, bylaws advisory committee members also to jump on board and be there as well. So then building 4,
Larry said he's doing it.
No, I'm not, I'm doing a meeting, don't get smart.
I'll do the best I
Oh, wait, so
can.
you're,
you know,
are you
you
building
jump in
1
and
captain, or
yeah.
somebody else
No
building 1 cap? No captain, I need a captain for building 1.
Larry.
I am, I thought I took
You
it.
just said no.
No, building 4, he's,
I thought you volunteered, honest to God, I thought.
Okay,
I
so
said
here
I'm
we
gonna-
have.
I think he meant.
Do we
we're
want,
gonna
if you wanna
co-chair.
be a co-captain, let me know, but building 1 is Larry, building 2 is John Pascarello, building 3 is Dan.
we'll need a
building 4
sheet
James.
telling us what we're doing, so we, all of us have it, should do the same
Captain,
thing.
co-captain.
No, I'm serious, every captain has to know what they're doing.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, you're doing whatever's possible, whatever's necessary.
No, these are the things that you should be doing. What are those things you're doing? Getting volunteers to go around the building? Okay, that's not item number
another
one.
thing,
Number
well,
2,
maybe the captain.
collecting the papers, collating them, going to Google Docs. I mean, we
Wait,
gotta
wait,
know,
wait.
everyone should be doing the same thing.
You need a
There's something
strategy.
else, I think now that we have captains, it might be
Yes.
simpler, to figure out when to have these lobby meetings. I think the captain maybe should decide
Yeah.
the date of the lobby meeting, tell us what date you want, and let's
Yep.
see who can volunteer to be
Yep.
there that date.
Yeah, that's good.
That'll just make it a lot simpler than me running
Yeah,
around
the
doing it.
captains should send to the entire board regarding these buildings.
The ballots will probably have by October 2nd or 3rd.
Don't you guys have any calls on your side if you want to go this thing?
I know.
You're
Yeah,
right.
a couple calls on
We
your
need a
side.
few Carl
No,
Rose.
just a campaign.
Well, I've been talking to Erwin, and I keep telling Erwin, it's time for you, the sleeping bear, to wake up.
You want
Did you stop at Irwin?
You want-
Irwin and Dan are gonna shake hands and
I'm
photograph.
talking to Erwin, he called me
It's a
today.
Christmas miracle.
Like this now.
We can have a photo op with Larry and Dan.
I see a few volunteers in the audience.
This is the meeting sheet, yeah, I took 2 meetings.
I
the meeting, to make the meeting. I
Wait a
took,
minute,
I took already
Mike,
two
you're not
meetings on
angry.
it, building one,
I'm
building
going
four.
with
What's?
She has all the Chinese on
She's
Sunday.
co-chair and
That's three
trustee.
meetings.
So the building she also.
I used to be in building four, so I have.
You did?
Yeah, I go to, this one is to the other one.
A lot of people used to live in
Used to
building
live in
four,
building
that's.
four, we have-
No, 6 is Jerry and Andy is co-captain. So Mike, she's gonna co-captain with James. Gabe has you and me.
And then building four, Dan, I'm doing it also building four. I'm holding a meeting building four. I'll do that
But you're
also.
in charge, so I follow.
I'm
your-
covering,
I will follow everything.
How do you guys ever get elected, like, have an organization like that? You gotta
what? What's the problem?
Alright, so.
Hey, maybe we can do a blast of photographs of the board, all these board members like working in lobbies and stuff, like. what
You
I'm
know, it's
saying?
amazing what, can be blasted.
Do we have everything here? You wanna take a picture right now?
Yeah, let's do it now,
Oh,
let's
come
do a
on,
big
let's-
selfie.
Keep
Come
going.
on, no, it's a great idea.
It doesn't mean anything that we're all together, that doesn't mean anything. Come on.
Hopefully,
I don't know.
I think it does.
Well, we're gonna have 6 and 5.
Come on, Andy.
Okay, so Dan, I guess, Dan, excuse me, Dan,
Yeah, no, I'm gonna need you, Lynn.
Oh, yeah? Instead of giving you the hard copies, I will ask Donna to email you these so that you can put it, make it.
She,
Yeah, yeah.
put an X in the building,
There's no names on it.
you know, like building
Sorry,
one.
are there names?
Building four,
No.
I did two buildings, so on the two different things, it
Maybe-
should show the same, I'm sorry. The two
That's
different,
fine, no, she just put the apartment
there's two,
numbers.
there's two packages, they are the
But
same
that's
thing.
okay, the apartment
No, mine
number
is
is the important
apartment
thing,
building.
right?
No, they're both
I
the
mean,
same,
maybe
building
what
apartment.
she has them, but.
No, this is for apartment by apartments. This one is a lobby.
Oh, so I think they're right.
We should all, we have the right to have
Have the right to have what, Dan?
a list of apartments.
Absolutely.
So she's gotta send you the building list, what else does she have to send?
If we had a, Russell, I don't know if we, I mean, I think having the names of the shareholder and the apartment is important, just, I mean, that's all you need. And then we can know who's, and that whether it's not shareholder apartments, who's in this, so you knock on the door, you know who's there.
The better part is when you knock on the door and it's not the shareholder or anyone else that
We can do a little suck.
And there's a couple of false walls and there are 18 cats and
So,
That's the better way,
I
Dan.
think someone will read all the.
Newsflash, those people don't answer the door.
Can we just get that Excel and I'll put it?
Can you do it by building?
It makes it, I'll make it.
Oh, that's good.
But I think he has to do it by
I think
building.
it is, I think it is though.
As long as,
You
building
can sort it.
Yeah, building is a column, the part numbers a column.
wait, so.
Yeah. With the names
Okay, so
already
that'll
chopped in
make
and
it-
everything.
Okay, that'll make.
Yeah,
life
I'll make
easier.
like 6 different tabs for 6 different buildings, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I
then if
think
you run
maybe-
into someone in the
maybe we
elevator,
need to
you don't
have-
have to ask them, and so what is your apartment building? Right?
And once everybody, because the captains, I think, they will, well, we know already, the captains are gonna decide what the lobby meetings are, and then they'll also, make a decision about polling. Maybe we can get other shareholders to help us, or, no, so I think you have to have a calendar, and when people give you the information on this Google,
Yeah.
thingy, whatever it is.
Google Doc.
And fill in when the lobby meetings are, because maybe some of us will go to the other
Yeah.
meetings. So
So
we'll
that's
attend,
maintaining a calendar, okay.
Yeah.
Different thing.
yeah, because we can all kind of switch around. Like I said, I will try to be available
It's-
for as many as
The
possible.
captain of each building's,
Yeah.
need to,
We do.
their duty to collect volunteers to do this polling, right?
Yeah,
We all agree on that?
we need
Google, we don't have a current Google,
No,
I don't,
no, we don't, not this
Yeah,
year.
how can we know it,
that's
right?
right.
I don't know because
Should we use that, should
Just-
we have that, or should we have a separate one just for this, or you wanna just?
we've been just, like when I write to you, I just keep putting the names in, bang, 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 bang,
Oh,
bang.
yeah, that's the easy way, right?
So we should do it.
We could kill it and just do a new one, I guess.
Cause I
Yeah.
wasn't afraid of doing it
And
all
just
at
use
once.
that one for everything, including this.
We don't have one for this
No,
year.
we don't have one since the.
Since the election, we haven't put
Since
one
the
together,
election.
John, I don't think.
Right?
We have one for I have one, I'll send one right now.
Okay, good, we're getting it right now, we're all gonna be in the Google Doc. Put us in, don't,
Everyone, I'll see who's accepted.
for this year? But he's gonna send it again, he's gonna tell you again.
Okay,
Alright,
alright, so that's what, well, my report isn't over.
alright, we're still
My
going.
report is not over.
Alright,
because
this is
I
still
have-
election, this is still, bylaws committee business, so let's
Right,
keep
this is
going.
part two.
This is part one, now we're up to part two.
The bylaws committee has been meeting all summer. And, we've been actually, as you know, we've really been focused on the open market, issue. But, we're changing gears. We're still focused on open market because now we have to write the fact, and take care of a few other things that come to meetings, the talking points, right? But we have come up with a, draft calendar for the next vote. And the next vote will be on the elections committee bylaw and the right of first refusal. And so I have here for you the calendar that we set up. It includes our meetings, which, you know, are really just our meetings, but we also pick tentative dates for, you'll see there are two sets of town hall meetings. The first set of town hall meetings will be the informational meetings where we will listen to people and take their suggestions and consider their opinions.
Well, we'll
and
have material
suggestions.
hand out, and then
Yes.
they'll, right.
Yes, there will be material to hand out, and after that meeting, the bylaws, intends to make a presentation to the board, and the board will decide, you know, if what we present to you, like we did this last time, is what we're gonna move forward with. And then we will have, two more, and of course, we'll ask to be invited, once we're sure about dates, I may as well pass this around so you know what I'm talking about.
We're gonna have two meetings, two town hall meetings, two,
Like we
MGCA
have now,
meeting.
you know, the town hall meetings.
And once again, we'll have to, once we get this operation right, we can then transfer the whole operation to the new operation. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like, and we have figured that, and, you know, I've talked to Donna also about the printing issue, because that's always an issue, you know, to have the
It's coming
printing
out.
done, and how much time do we need, and also the time that the ballots have to arrive. The shareholders, there's a minimum amount of days, I don't remember what it is, but you know what I mean. So, figuring all of those items out, we see that we could have the date probably on February 19th, 2015.
You did a GCA, pass out some more of those.
Oh, MGCA.
We're missing a few copies, I think we need some more copies.
Only one stop here.
There are more,
December
I did
16th
just
is the board
send.
meeting.
Okay, everybody should have one.
No, we're coming to the board meeting on the 16th. Well, the December board meeting, we can always pick another, town hall meeting, date if December 4 is, MGCA.
What's the, MGCA on the fourth?
That's what I have, you know, I'll check on that's what it is.
If that's the case, we'll figure out another date probably before then. That was, wait, when is, yeah, that is I think you're right, that's a Thursday,
Yeah, it
December
is, it
7th
is.
is
We may have to
Sunday.
do, we may have
So
to
we
do the
may have to
seventh
go when?
and 11th, the 7th and 11th. It's the best one, it's still a Sunday and Thursday, but it's two different, it's a different
That's the
Thursday.
other way, right? Yeah, because the third is a.
So let's make let's make it December 11th, December 7th and December 11th, how's
I need
that?
to run it by the committee as well and make sure everybody's available. Or
It's
most
only
of it.
tentative, I just wanna get it in the calendar
Yeah,
before
let's
something
put it-
eats up my date.
That's the third place, which is the 10th.
Seventh and the 11th right now is tentative, it's tentative,
The whole thing is.
yeah. This is a town hall. And the 11th would be the second town hall meeting. Yeah, that would be an afternoon meeting, that's a 4 o'clock meeting, the Sunday one.
Is that anyway, is that it?
Sorry, I was just, having problems with my other things. Yeah, so that's it, you have the calendar here.
one question back on, open market. John Kaplan brought up some kind of, I guess, some type of, whatever you wanna call, language issues. How are we addressing that?
It's easy, those things that he brought up,
Yeah.
under the bylaws, we are able to edit them. We are not changing the intent of the language, we're editing it to make it clearer. Now, the one where the word was missing, the one where the word was missing, you know, not exclusive, I think it was something like,
Is it not?
not, it was like the word not.
Yeah.
We're not sure if the document is missing it because it was omitted when it was printed,
Yeah.
or it's just been missing all these
Right,
years,
yeah.
and now we'll catch up on it.
Yeah.
But it makes it right, it makes it correct when you put the not in.
Jam us or anything.
No.
No, luckily, because they're really just, they're not substantive
When you-
changes, and the board can approve those changes.
Okay.
The bylaws committee's actually gonna look at it, tomorrow as well. We wanna look and see what his suggestions are, because we actually may not agree with all of those commas
Yeah.
and semicolons.
If-
And we are comma crazy.
If I
So,
may,
if we left them out, there might have been a reason why.
if I may, Yvonne, I just wanna get clarification or something.
Yes.
February 19th is not the vote, it's the shareholders meeting,
Yeah.
deal,
But
right?
Listen, this is just
No,
our.
no, but I wanna be
Yeah,
clear that
that would
that's,
be the
because
shareholders'
otherwise it
meeting.
doesn't make sense, so that would be the date of the actual meeting in this room when we
So-
open it,
so the valid
close it,
definition would be
and go to the vote.
prior to that.
Vernacular.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so,
This is, you know, like really our calendar, so
Looks
we're
good.
very, we write it very
Looks
simply. Yes.
Larry, can we ask Donna to send us, just calendar invites for all these things, cause like, can whenever.
Well, you know, these
Well,
are not.
no, in
written
general,
down.
like
Outlook
calendar,
invites?
yeah, just like invite, because I always forget to put things in and then I don't.
I'll send you the invite, how
No,
about
but
this?
I'm saying just in general.
No, no, I'm
everything going
serious,
forward.
I will send you the invite, I will put it in the my Google Calendar, put
Yeah.
everybody's name in it,
Yeah.
and then I'll send out the message, I'll say reminder.
But
And
even-
it'll go in, then you will put it into your calendar, but you will have an email that says accept. When you accept, it'll move over to your
You know, what
calendar.
I'm saying is like even so when Donna, cause she's uses Outlook, if she could just send us board meetings, like finance committee meetings, just in general, cause it's embedded in a document and then you have to go and look for it and things, like we should just do this at the beginning of the year, like we're in that time of our lives, like let's
I
just-
gotta tell you something, Donna is got a lot of things she does. And it's really not right for her to expect, she put out the list from her to everybody on the finance committee meeting with every date listed, every date. So that calendar has been out and given to you. The board meeting calendar is out and given to you. There's no question, we're not moving dates, this is
No,
not,
I know, I'm just
this is
saying
not,
this is.
it's different. These things, I agree, I will send out the
Right.
Google, once we're certain of the dates, I will put a Google, invite to everybody that that's the date to be there.
But what I'm saying is like when Karina sends out the meeting invites for the tennis selection committee, all you have to do is send it as a calendar invite and people accept and reject.
You're
And so,
asking-
but
but
I'm
you're
just saying, it's like,
asking
it'll actually
hard-
make it simpler for people, rather than like each person writing back and
The
saying.
chair,
accept or reject.
actually, the chair is the one that should be
Right.
writing the Google invite, not Donna.
Or
Donna,
somebody anyway,
yeah,
yeah.
well, when you meet on the tennis selection, you should ask her, the tennis selection is, so you should ask Cobra if she could do a Google invite, put it in the calendar, send it out to everybody in the committee, and do it that way. To ask Donna to do this is not right.
We should just have.
Yeah, I said this,
Yeah.
It's not,
No, I think it's just, I think he's talking about the workload that Donna has.
Maybe I said Donna and just, like, it's not for everything, but I think whoever the.
I think it should be for everything.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, if there are no more questions, I guess,
we're done with this report?
we're done with this.
Okay, so now we can move to the, this is the calendar, I'm gonna put this in the thing here. We're moving, the last item in open session is the board member motion. Gabriel, it's your motion, would you like to, introduce it, and we'll get a second, I believe we will get a second, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Move that the MHHC board directs the president to establish an ad hoc committee to make recommendations to the board and the elections committee related to the fair and effective oversight and management of MHHC elections, including recommendations for how MHHC should proceed with contracting with a third-party elections management organization should MHHC bylaws be amended to allow such action, members shall be selected from the membership and leadership of past election committees and approved by the full board of directors. A report to the board and current elections committee shall be submitted no later than November 15th, 2018. Seconded.
Oh, I need a second, my turn.
Okay, so to speak to the motion, we talked about this before, this omits doing a, talking about what happened with the last election and the recount, that's not in here. We were supposed to have this done in July, we haven't heard much about it. But the other thing is that we haven't talked a lot about how we would work with a third party and some of the kind of granular things that I think are inevitably gonna come up. So, I think we need to get a committee together for this. And that's it. It's happening soon.
Anybody else?
Dan?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I wanna, I think that just one matter of process, I think that at the last meeting, the July meeting, the president stated unequivocally that, he made no such request that the elections committee report anything to anybody by any such date.
I'm sorry.
And that's okay, I'm glad you started playing on the iPhone with this. And I think that it's important to know, for the record, that the president did say a whole lot about the elections committee taking action.
This out of order because only the president of the corporation can make an committee. However, I am reaching out to the election committee. I am telling them that by the July board meeting, they have to have a solution to this problem that will be acceptable to the board, that will not allow for any more quibbling about elections. Now, I've been informed, I think, I know I've been informed by, I think, the whole board at this evening, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, but there seems to be a system out there which actually guarantees flawless reporting.
That basically is just.
Okay, so since that has nothing to do with the motion, do you have a point you wanna make other than the fact that I said in the email to you and to Andrea that I did speak about it in an open session, that my memory was recollected? Other than that, do you
Yeah, I
have
do.
something to say in
Yes.
support
Yes.
of Gabriel's
I do.
motion?
I think that first of all, I think to the calendar for the bylaws change, Yvonne, I think this looks good, and I think that it's it's on a path, and it looks like it's good public input, and that's important. I think that given some of the issues I think that were exposed, not just in the last election, but I think over time, in other elections too, that the third party is an appropriate response. I mean, I'm speaking to the bylaw now, but it's not the only response. And I think that what we need really is to take a close look at the process of elections, which includes, but is not limited to, going to third party. I think that this motion can bring together, if we can get a committee that is a thoughtful people who have experience in this, who have seen it from firsthand. I think that this could go alongside and informing the process as we're looking at the bylaws change, and hopefully get us some more elections that I think we can all have a little bit more faith in next time around.
Marjorie?
So I think, one of the pieces that came out, during this last election, I think it's probably happened in, a lot of the other elections, but not as evident as it was this year, was that there are a lot of, there's a lot of kind of consensus guessing and consensus decision, or just decision making that's occurring in these, kind of critical moments, in a way that it's actually, it's a little bit ad hoc. So I think we actually need to have more processes that are written down and processes that outline like what to do with questionable ballots, right? So I think there was a lot of like, well, in this case, 4 people said yes, and 2 people said no, so we went with yes. So there should be second guessing. It should be very clear what the processes are, what you do when signature doesn't match, like what are the different steps, and there's basically a binder, like the elections committee gets this binder of of materials, and there's no order to it. There's like, it's kind of like it's just like a collection of papers, and we literally hand it over, like you hand it to the next person, and it's really not like, it's not set up in a way that's methodical, that's easy to reference, that people, like no one actually refers to it, right? So when these decisions are making in that critical time frame, there's nobody, like there's nothing to refer to. So I think it's a disservice to the elections committee, and I think they need to do a better job, and I think the suggestion of getting people who've done this before, who actually learned by year 3 how to do it correctly, like getting them together to say, all right, based on our collective judgment, this is what the process should look like. Or we have a skeleton, we have a sketch of something. Let's beef this up and let's take out any ambiguity, right? So we need to have clarity. People, and, again, everyone is a volunteer, but there should be no finger pointing. There should be a clear process of what happens in each situation. Like we know the 20 situations that are going to come up, and there should be a process for each of those 20 situations. And so we shouldn't have. And this will happen. This will happen no matter whether we have honest ballot or not. There will be questions that will come up. And then we need to have clarity. Like it just needs to be written down, and this is the time to do it.
Seeing no further comment, we move to a vote. All in favor of this motion, raise your hands, please. Andy, Mindtree, Chi, Gabriel, Dan. All opposed?
I need the names of the no's. Carter, Donna.
John, Yvonne.
Abstain? So it passes.
Okay, so here's the problem. You cannot oversight Honest Ballot Association or any other private company that does this. It is impossible. Now, I will now tell you the most important thing. This motion is out of order. You cannot direct the president to make a committee. And I've checked this with legal counsel. So this committee will not be formed.
Why would you say that before?
Because I wanted this to play out to the end. I didn't want to interfere with the discussion.
That is not.
So please put in the record
What's
that
the
the
right
president.
process? What's the right process there?
The process is you cannot direct the president to make a committee. You can't.
Wait, then how? I'm sorry, I'm missing something. So then, what can you do? How?
You
should
can
it be?
request, but you can't make him do it.
Wait, so I don't get. So what is it that you're objecting to?
Not objecting. The language is
Direct?
correct.
The what?
Directs. You cannot direct me. That's the motion. It's out of order. It's dead.
Do you really think that that is a good move?
Yes,
Do
but
really
I'll tell you
think-
why. I'm ruling it.
I'm not done, Larry. I was not done with my question.
You said, do
Larry,
you really think
do you
this is a
really
good
think
move?
that it's a good move, given what the complete lack of confidence in the election in the last election, for you and a minority of the board to essentially stymie a good governance process, which could actually do a little bit of good and get us on the right track for the elections? And let me say, the honest ballot, you can't do this with a third party election, is a canard. We can direct we can have our own election processes in place just like every other co-op and use third party. There's no reason why we should be, even if we're gonna be using a third party counter, that we can't have our own elections processes in place that we have confidence in.
Dan, I would agree with you if that's what the motion said, but it doesn't say that. It says the committee related to the fair, effective oversight and management of MHHC elections. Once the election is the voting of a proxy vote that is done through a private company. That's what we're changing. If you said you wanted to look at the process before the vote, which is the election committee, which is this committee, I do not believe is touching that process. It's leaving it intact. The signing up, the conducting of meetings, that's all staying the same. The issue is how do the ballots get collected, get mailed, get collected, get certified, get counted, and who does the counting? Once you hire a company, you cannot oversight them. Because then you will have interfered with the election if you try to do that, and then it can be overturned. The whole purpose of this process that is coming up through the election, through the bylaws committee, is to move the process to a neutral group who will control the process. I cannot understand that no one read what's in this document just now. that no one comprehended that they were asking for oversight of the election process by an outside group. Not no one, the people that didn't vote.
Okay, lower your voice now.
It's a little upsetting to me that this is so clear.
You can speak softly, you don't need to yell at us.
I'm not yelling,
Yes,
I'm
you
speaking
are.
loudly.
If
If I were yelling, you wouldn't be able to sit in that chair, because you'd be out the door.
Oh, really, Larry?
Gabriel.
Question. What happens, we talked about this before, what happens when, you know, a questionable ballot goes to the third party? What do they do?
What's the
They don't
question that
say-
you're asking?
Say the signature doesn't match. What
They
do
have to tell us. It comes back here. She told us. She made a presentation. There's a whole presentation she made. And by the way, just so you know, we're getting the experience of a third party right now. Because we're conducting this election the way all elections will be conducted in the future if we change the bylaw. We will know how this works. If you get a bad ballot, how are we gonna treat it? How do you treat it, a honest ballot association? We're gonna find out, because they have rules that they have to use to do it. And they're gonna inform us.
But who's we? Is it the board or is it gonna be the
It's
election
gonna come to
committee?
us. She told us it
Who's
comes
the
to
us?
us.
Who's the us?
Who's
The
us?
board,
Who's gonna talk
the
about it?
general manager, it comes to us. It comes to us.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, is that last time,
What's the
when
process?
people were making decisions that weren't necessary, like, we were consulting the lawyer, like, all of this.
This, you will not
someone-
need a lawyer.
But someone ultimately has to make a decision.
The honest ballot will make the
But you're saying
decision,
if
but will
there's a
inform us.
question- If there's a question, it'll come to us, and so the us has to decide.
No, the question
Yes.
is that you will be informed that there is a problem with this ballot. It does not match the signature that was sent to me by the corporation. Then our process is to find the person who mailed the ballot and find out what happened to the signature. Because they could have had someone else sign for them.
Me
That's
as
actually not what,
shareholder, me as a
that's actually not what they said. Actually, when asked that question, Honest Ballot said, yeah, we just toss it. They said
So
no.
fine, I didn't hear him say that.
So there are.
I didn't hear him say that, Dan.
Honest Ballot is our contractor, yes, they did. Honest Ballot is our contractor.
I don't believe you heard that, Dan. I have to tell you.
They said that.
Yeah, they did, actually. You know, yeah,
They didn't say that. I remember them saying that they were
said
gonna
they lay
inform
it
us.
aside. They check the signatures, and they lay it aside.
Okay, but they're doing it. I'm not doing it. You're not doing it. No one in this room's doing it.
Wow.
No older senior citizens who are gonna stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning are doing it. They're doing it. And they have a reputation for doing it right. Now, who would I wanna trust in getting it right? What's failed here, or what a private organization can do for us that has a track record of rightness?
Lower your voice about it, actually. You can say, you know, you can spout the same stuff and about 30 lower decibels.
So,
But we have decided that honest ballot's gonna do the election.
that's right.
That was, your motion before was that.
I mean, I agree with, by the way, this is very forward looking, we're not looking backwards, this is not looking backwards. It seems to me they're hard decisions to make, this is a contract we're hiring, I'm surprised that this is contentious, actually.
I don't understand what you're saying.
We're hiring a contractor to do something for us, and I believe that it's not, that I believe that we get to talk to them, and it's not all like you say.
Well, I know you've never been involved in an election with an outside agency, but I fortunately have been, and maybe some other people have, I'm not sure. But I know that every 2 years, every 3 years toward the, later on, we have to have union elections. We have always contracted with an outside agency. I think the first time during my beginning career was Honest Ballot, and then we moved over to American Arbitration. Might have been the course. No one can interfere with the process. This is what, no one can tell them how to handle the process. They tell you how they do the process. They put the ballots aside. Anyone may attend the count when they open the proxies. Anyone may be in the room when they move the proxies to the side. Anyone can say to them, I want to know what's wrong with that ballot, when they finish counting, and say, tell me what's wrong with that proxy. And they will have to have a reason for why they moved it to the side. You cannot tell them how to do that process. The minute you interfere, you're interfering in how the election comes out. And you can't do that.
That's not what we're talking about here.
It's all
No,
related to the fair, effective oversight and management of MHC elections.
I think it's pretty, Larry, it's pretty clear. You're redirecting here, and it's really, it's disingenuous. What we're talking.
Oh, that's a bad word to use. I am not being disingenuous.
What you're talking about.
I am doing what is best for the co-op now.
What we're talking about here, just like with any contract, we have Brent, we just say, go do that thing, okay? Go do that local law and stuff, and tell us when you're done. No, we have things that we want them to do. We want them to inform our shareholders when they're like, grinding on the mountains or something like. Let me finish. Like any contractor, we might have, we have I think we have a right and a responsibility to say, to have some input, not during the election. We're not talking about when the votes are counted, but before you hire somebody, say, here are our priorities. Here is what we think. Here's how we've done in the past.
We just did that.
Maybe it's not the case. And here's what I'm sure they have their best practices across the board, but you can bet that when I talk to them, they will tailor it to what you want. And this community,
That's not true. First of all, what you said is not right, just now about tailoring.
Number
Number one, tailoring is not right. Number two, the word tailoring is not right. It's not a correct word.
Their clients.
Here's what happened, okay? And this just happened. We had Honest Ballot come in here, we had to make a presentation, they sent us a preliminary contract, we sent it back to them and told them we wanted to have these things done. We told them that. We told them, as the board, do it this way. The contract we signed with them dictates what they do. What they're doing now, is what they're gonna have to do the next time.
So wait, we told them what to do? We told them things done?
We told them we want names checked, we told them we don't want the screens, we told them general stuff that you would tell them as to what you need them to do. But we don't tell them what to do if there's a bad ballot. That's not. They know what to do when there's a bad ballot. And they tell us how they handle it.
That may be the case, but we still, we're not handing over.
Here's a question. Sorry, Mike. Who's gonna be asking those questions? Like, why are these bad ballots to the third party? Who?
Well, you could be at the vote. No, you could be at the vote and say, why are these bad ballots? But they're gonna tell us. We're gonna ask them in the contract to tell us how many bad ballots and why they didn't count them. We can tell them that. That's not oversight. That's just telling them in the contract, this is what we need you to do.
And who reviews that? Who?
They are the final arbiter. You cannot be the arbiter. You can't, he can't, I can't, no one can. They are the only ones that could be the arbiter.
This conversation would have been very helpful before we took the vote. I wish we had had this conversation before we called for the vote.
Do you wish to change your vote?
Yes.
Please tell Etta.
I would vote against the motion.
Now it's fine.
The vote is
That's not
taken.
fair.
That is completely out.
No,
of
he's
order.
a no vote. He's an abstained vote. He can change his vote if he wishes to do that. He's an abstained vote. He's not changing from yes to no. He's abstained, changing to a vote.
You're voting yes or no?
Yeah, I'm voting against the motion.
Now it fails because lack of a majority.
I wish we had had this conversation to start with, instead of calling for a vote, when I really needed to hear all of this and understand it better. I think we wasted a lot of time by not having the conversation and calling for the vote so quickly. Because I needed to hear Gabe and others talk about this more. That's why I abstained. It wasn't because I don't care. It's like, I had no idea. So, okay, I don't know what to say, so I abstained.
I'm not criticizing.
that's it. We really should have talked about this.
But
Well,
but we still have to contract with them.
Yes, of course.
And
They have to come here.
And we still have to have them, we still have to tell them what it is we want and how we.
They will write up, if I may, they write up, if I may.
Well, actually,
I thought you wanted an answer. Okay, I'm sorry.
So, we still have to contract with them, we still have to do this, and I was uncomfortable with November 15th, although, thinking about it, because it just did go very fast. November 15th is 6 weeks away. The election obviously is, 5 months away, or whatever. have to have what you were saying sounded more to me like, we need to have a folder of what we actually do with these things, which sounded more to me like us running the election.
No, no. I said we needed to have, so in this case, there were those 3 ballots, like should they be included, should they not? Like who makes a decision? You know, when does it happen? Like all of these things that we're doing in an ad hoc way needs to be written out. Like it needs to be clearly said. It shouldn't be dependent on, people in that, like maybe 3 out of 10 people were there and they decided and one person decided. There should be a process.
That I get particular.
The point is though that they know those
The problem there that I was seeing was that they weren't the ones that were gonna be doing it, because we'd already decided that they weren't gonna be doing it.
The same questions are gonna come up when honest ballot goes through it, and
No,
they
so what Larry's saying is that they will have their methods of going ahead and doing that we won't. that
They
we
know
won't
the law.
Stop,
But-
that we won't supersede that and tell them how to do it.
Right, so in this case, if someone like writes their incorrect, like, whatever, someone puts misinformation, the fear is that they'll disenfranchise people because they'll just, for them it's easier to pick it up. So think of it, the day that they're making the they're doing nothing, they wanna give us a vote at the end of that day, right? They wanna give us a tally. So they're not gonna have the patience to sit here and say, alright, let's call JTS and figure out, is this a legitimate person? Let's call the management office, check the signature, this person's currently 80, they signed the last signature when they were 60. Like that is not gonna happen, right? And so the easiest thing is to say, fuck it, just get these out of here.
That's
and
not
then
the case.
One sec, we're gonna be.
You're
we're gonna be
making up
down
a scenario
20,
that's not
we're gonna be
correct.
down 40 votes, because people make mistakes, and this is that process, that's why.
Fine, I'm gonna tell the answer.
Yeah,
You have
that's the
spent,
method.
Yes.
I think somebody's speaking, there's a conversation
but
that's
you-
happening on the board. Why is everybody interrupting everybody?
because you know something, there comes a point where someone starts to speculate about fantasy. And
You
right
have been
now,
speculating all you,
No,
you've been saying,
I'm
this
not-
we can do, this we cannot do, based on what?
You
This
are-
is like,
you
this
don't,
is not what we do.
you don't seem
Come
to,
ready.
you don't seem to grasp that honest ballot knows the law. And if they're looking at a ballot that has a wrong apartment number, they're not tossing a ballot. They're looking back at the list to see what the apartment should
None
be.
of this came across in the
That-
meeting, absolutely not, they
Listen,
didn't tell us any of this.
until we meet them,
I was here at the meeting, they did
until,
not tell us that.
they did tell us
They
that,
did
first of
not.
all. But until we meet them, to have a contract renewal, when we call them in, or we tell them, send us a contract, and we can have them come in and explain this last process about tossed ballots. But I know that they know by the law that you don't toss a ballot. You
Not
don't
toss it,
toss
you
a
don't
ballot.
count it, you don't count it, it's
The-
the same as tossing it. It's not
You
counted.
don't, you want it exactly said this way? They won't count the ballot if there's something they don't understand. And if they don't know that JTS's name is that person, then they're gonna call here and say, who's this name on JTS?
So at 8
And we
a.m.
would be
we're
able,
counting.
and we would be able to tell them, because that's the name of the person who's the chief executive officer.
Can we compile a list of these questions to submit to the vendor?
Yeah, but that's the thing with the elections committee, is really.
No, they would never know, they've
That's-
never done it this way.
Okay, here's, yeah.
They've never done that. We will do that if we need to do it. You're gonna go home tonight, because you're a very busy person, I know you're gonna work on this. And you're gonna come up with your questions, and Gabe's gonna come up with his questions. I'm not being sarcastic.
Larry, what are you talking about?
You'll come up with your ideas, when we call them in to tell us about we're gonna have them come in again, sit with us, and we're gonna tell us the process for this election for candidates.
I thought that's what this committee was for.
We don't want a candidate, we want the
I
board.
did, because I thought it sounded like.
I actually, I'm gonna change my vote and vote yes. If that's, cause I, abstain. And I think we should just do this. I
Well, it's
mean-
out of order, it's still out of order.
But it's, okay.
Can we amend it?
But if it.
No, too late.
Wait,
Vote's taken.
Let me,
Wait.
let me finish what I'm saying. So if the motion is out of order because you can't direct the president to do this, I think for a certain amount of healing, just to get this out of the way, even if it's out of order, you should do that in your position as president. And I think that the last election, I think each election has had stuff going on. I think the observers have been a huge problem in it. And I was surprised some of the stuff from the last election, I was surprised some of the stuff before. One of the things that you mentioned was that you knew what the before things went out. That is, I mean, that is just wrong.
Actually, it's what, if we use a real balloting company, we will know that before the counts go out. The observers are absolutely expected to know those things before the count goes out.
Well,
That's what you're learning. When you go to the New York City
No, no, no,
election,
I mean,
you look
in-
behind
in
that,
the middle of it.
when you're an inspector, and when the vote's over at 9 o'clock, you go behind those old machines, or you look at the new screens, you know who voted for de Blasio and who voted for whoever, right? Exactly what you know.
Right.
That is what you know, because otherwise, it's a big mystery, and
No,
then the
but-
votes get
but-
changed.
So I'm
That's
not,
exactly why you
I'm
know.
not, but I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about the people sign confidentialities and.
Well, you know what, they
stuff
shouldn't be
like
signing
that. I know, but see, I'm ready to talk
confidentiality. It should
about
be public information at the time that the vote, that it is
Well,
made.
No one's
But-
disputing that, we are not disputing that. Please stop with this
Anyway,
hypothetical.
there you go. That's something that should be discussed by these groups. You just made a case in point for doing that. Case in point for.
That's
for
not a
talking
case in
about it.
point, it's,
The use of
you're
this-
hypothetical, and he,
Let Jerry finish, can we let him finish?
I think you should consider this if it's out of order.
Yvonne?
I think if you are going to consider this, and if you want this, if it winds up that the board wants this to be done, then I think that the bylaws advisory committee should withdraw their timeline, and I think that the vote in February 19th should be postponed, because I really don't think, we work really hard. I don't think you have any idea how hard the bylaws advisory committee works, and you're asking for an investigation, or whatever you may call this, that will affect the work that we are doing. Well, you are, because it says that you're making recommendations for how MHHC should proceed with contracting a third-party election, blah, 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 and the bylaws should be amended to allow such action.
No, should they be
You're
elections?
missing the whole
Bylaws be amended.
phrase.
If, because we don't know that they are, if they are, these are the things that we would wanna see in a third-party contract.
Look,
This is the,
why can't, alright, so let's ask this question, let's ask this brilliant question. We don't have any bylaw change yet. We haven't met with anybody. Okay? Until I meet with until somebody comes here and tells me what they're gonna do, we don't know if that's what we wanna do. But like, based on what you're saying, we don't know if what they're gonna do for an election, which they do for every election, and none of them are challenged. None of them are challenged. That's what's important.
I think I finish, because I think that what we discussed as a board at the last meeting, when we talked about what the bylaws committee should do, I believe that the consensus was that the elections committee, the shareholders, should no longer handle the counting. Right? Okay, but you're asking for the committee related to fair and effective oversight here, but that would only be if the elections committee or a group of shareholders handles, the counting. It seems to me that there, I mean, I don't
We
understand, I don't
enumerated a
understand
number
what's
of
here.
areas where the elections committee can and should probably still have, some role.
That's right, they should handle
Whether-
the election, yeah, we did that.
But it's also, it's the issues with the inspectors, okay, that's one issue.
There wouldn't be inspectors.
There's no, there are inspectors,
outside
anyone who
company.
wants to be, the count is announced, this is the way it's done. Anyone who wants to go there can spend as much time as they want there and watch how they're counting. There is no limitation on inspectors or anything else. You wanna go, she wants, the candidates can go, non-candidates can go, it's irrelevant. It's open to it's open to us to see how they're doing it. There's no hidden here.
We actually.
Your assumptions are so bizarre. Just relax a minute here. Your assumptions are so bizarre. You've come up with scenarios that don't fit, that don't have anything to do with a professional organization that counts ballots for a living, that controls elections, that has never been challenged, and has given the results. These are professionals. They're not amateurs. They're not people who have folders filled of loose papers and nobody reads them, to quote you. These are professionals that conduct elections in the way. If we believe that we need to tell them something, or we want them to address to us how they handle something, we should hear it. I can have them here the next meeting and they can sit here and explain an election to you, how they will conduct it with bad ballots, who could be present, we can have that whole thing done. But we don't need somebody deciding somewhere in this community how they should behave, because they know how to behave.
May I?
Sure.
Okay. I think that, you know, it's not a slam dunk that, I mean, even though, I think we're all talking about third-party elections and we're looking for some kind of solution to the debacle that was, okay? But, you know, I mean, I've been talking to people in the community, including people who have been on the elections committee before. They're not convinced that this is the right solution. I mean, you know, this is a big deal. Handing this over, beyond our community to a third party that we don't know is something that is, you know, it's not without risk.
What's the risk? It's an election conducted by a professional organization that does this for a living. What's the risk?
Anybody can.
You mean you won't like the results and you can't?
Larry.
Come on.
Anybody can bungle an election, happens all the time, alright? Any contractor can bungle one. Wait, let me just finish. So I think that this works, and maybe the timing is off of November 15th, I think that's probably wrong, that would be, I would ask for a billion. But I think that as the bylaws committee, which is basically looking at, you know, I mean, you're looking at language issues, what to strike. I think that part of the communication and the selling of this is to get buy-in. And part of the buy-in is going to be, how do I feel comfortable with the process now that it's, now that it is with a third party? And it's not our president kind of saying, and it shall be so. It is and I think it is getting the experts in there to understand what this means. And maybe it's having this committee meet with Honest Ballot or some third party and explain what this is about. So then they could kind of go back and say, given what we had here, how do we want to, how do we want this to look? I mean, what do we want to say about, this, that, and the other thing, and what's out of our control, and that's it. But I think that having that kind of buy-in is key to this, and I think that, so that's, I think.
We don't want.
At the same time,
Oh wait, who else?
I think Dave was next.
I'm sorry, Yvonne? No, I think it's Yvonne, she, Buscarello, that's what
Yeah,
it's
I
here.
don't think I ever even finished. Yeah, but at the same time, what you're saying, we don't just strike, we don't strike language. If that's all we did, we probably could have just finished the other thing in 2 weeks. We do a lot more than that, and we think a lot about what we propose. But what I'm saying is if we come up with a proposal and we're already working on one, which removes that counting of the ballots away from the bylaws committee. But, you may have a recommendation from this ad hoc committee that says that maybe we shouldn't do that. Okay, I don't really think that it's fair or right or correct to have the bylaws committee even venture down this road when there's a possibility that you're gonna have another committee that comes and says, oh, well, we think this is a better way to do it, and now we need to consider that, and they may do that, but you don't know
No,
that.
you're talking about not just having a private organization conduct a professional.
You said that maybe it's not a good idea to have.
I said that that's a potential undermining now, and having them look at this as
Okay, but allow me to finish,
constructive
because
way
really.
is good for getting it passed,
Okay, but then
You
I.
completely flipped what I was saying.
No, I
Oh,
don't
no.
think I did.
No, she didn't.
I don't think I did. I think I understood exactly what you said, and I really don't think that the bylaws committee should continue down this path if this is the way to go, because we will not make this deadline. We're not miracle workers, and if the board, wants to change things, or wants to think about things, or wants to pull back from what we had decided before, which was to go to an open, it doesn't have to be honest ballot. That wasn't the point, but I think if you think you wanna consider doing it a different way, you need to, postpone this other work.
I think John was.
No, she.
Yeah, I just want to say that I don't think this is a conflict with the one bylaws committee is doing. Whatever, like, after we change the bylaws, whenever we go to a third party to run election, and then we still need an election committee, right? They're still working. So that's what, like Maitri said, I like this group of people, so they can put a written, like, whatever you say, instructions or procedures
premise that you're saying. Foscarello.
I have two things I wanna say. First of all, it concerns me that, we're thinking about putting a third party in, and people seem to not even trust the third party, which, I mean, what's gonna be the solution? I mean, what is gonna be the solution here? What's gonna satisfy this community? I mean,
Alright.
it's crazy.
If-
Second, let me finish, please.
Yes. Yeah, she's on the list.
The other thing is, I think Yvonne is correct, if we wanna put this committee in place, then I think we pull all the bylaws committee work off the table, and the committee goes to work and makes a recommendation, and then we go forth with a vote. I don't think you can have both working at the same time.
Alright, let me say this. Before we continue, let me say this. I'm going to invite the Honest Ballot Association to the November meeting. I don't wanna see screens, I don't wanna see anything. I wanna see I want them to come here and explain how they conduct their business after the proxy vote gets into their hands. Cause that's the issue. This is the issue I'm hearing here. Unless you know something different, this is the time to speak and tell me there's something else. And then they will come here, they will explain their professional procedure that has never been challenged, and then you can ask them all the questions you want. Because we are the board, and we will decide what it is we have to ask them. This is not going to a third-party committee, this is staying right here. And since you believe, and John is right, what I am hearing is that you believe that they will not do an honest ballot count. That you believe that they will toss ballots. And that is not satisfactory to me because I know what they do because of my experience over all the years, over 40 years of service in the school system, of which I experienced at least 20 elections for the union. 20 of them, at least 20. So I'm gonna bring them here in November, and that is going to be the meeting where they will explain their process.
Then maybe we can have another vote after their meeting.
Well, there won't be another vote. What we have to do is decide after that, do we think they didn't cover something, and we could tell them that after, or we could tell them during the meeting.
Because we're experts, right? Because all of us served on the elections committee and have,
The Elections Committee has no expertise in this matter.
Not this elections committee.
No election committee that has ever been convened in this community has any experience dealing with a neutral third party, except for, and they didn't, the community has had experience and the board has, reconstitution, open market the first time, and now open market the second time. These are the only 3 times this community will have had experience with a professional company that does this for a living.
Okay, there's a list of people waiting to speak.
Maitri.
Thank you. So I want to just touch on a couple of things that have been said. One is, Jerry, I think you were getting at, what do we need to do to actually heal and to move this forward? So I think that's a really important point. I think a couple of things that you pointed out, Natalie, are that it's an open process. The fact that anyone can come and look, and watch the counting, I think is great. So I think that will give a lot of confidence to the community that it's not a secret thing. Anyone who wants can come. So I think that's a great point. I think what you're getting at is good, that we, let's do what makes this better. Let's not dig our heels in because of a word here and there. Let's not defeat it for the purpose of defeating it. Let's actually move forward. And I think the point that you're getting at, Jan, is that how we get past elections committee chairs or whatever involved. I think if we do invite these guys to the board, I think those people need to come and put together their questions. We need to build confidence in this process, and the way we do it is not by top-down edicts. It's basically saying, these are all your questions, these are all your concerns. Maybe send them to John ahead of time. All the people who've done this, who know all the issues that can happen, and let's ask Honest Ballot to answer them one by one.
I have a better idea.
So we do this in a way that tells people that you guys think you're the experts, put together all your questions, and we'll answer them one by one, right? And so how better to build confidence in this process by saying it'll be open, bring all your questions, let's move this forward. This is not like this side, and it's not voting, against or for. Let's address all of the fears and the conspiracy theories and all these things that we have. Just put it out there and let them answer it. How's that?
What is the process you're looking for?
So I'm saying, have the people who've done this, the elections process for a while, who we're suggesting, now, maybe not as a separate group, but people, let people know that all the past chairs of the elections committees, the concerns that you've had, that there are certain loopholes that you think, or things that things that you found in your experiences, let's put all this together, send them to Donna, ask questions, and then because people can't come here and talk to, right? So then we have those questions asked to, basically ask them to honest ballot, and one by one answer them and say, what happens in this case? But not from the board, but have the people who
It will
are
be from the
experts.
board, because the
No,
board
no,
will
I
be
know.
asking the
I
questions.
know, but basically have people who feel like they have something to offer, right? Because they've served in these positions, have them put forward their questions and say, so I think it's really moving towards the process of making this, having people trust this process, which is really, we're going through the mechanics of counting it, but I think we need to change the hearts and minds, and we need to move beyond this divide. So let's do it in a way that I think can work for everyone.
Okay, so let me hear one more speaker, then I'll give you an answer. Yvonne.
No, I think something like, I don't agree with this, idea of having an ad hoc committee make recommendations.
But she's changed that now.
I do like this idea of allowing, I don't think it should just be committee chairs, but any former elections committee members, because this is not the first time that there have been questions about balloting, and I don't think that the former chairs of elections committee are the only ones that have questions and doubts and everything, but it could, if we could ask any former member and current member of the elections committee to submit questions that we can bring to honest ballot so that their questions can be answered, because I do think this is the way we decided to go. And I think that's a really good way to get the information out. If these people actually do have doubts and, their questions I'm sure are valid, I think that's a great way
So,
of handling it.
I just wanted Yvonne to speak, but I agree with you. What we will do is we will reach out to the last 5 years of election committees.
2 elections committees.
Yeah, I think we may have to go
I
further
think
back.
how
No,
far-
2
I would
years,
go-
2 years, they
6
used
years?
to have, no, they used to have 2-year terms, this is the first year it's starting.
So,
It's the first
I'll go
time.
back, you know what we'll do? 10 years. We'll go back 10 years. I will have Donna write an invitation from me to them that says something to the following. We are going to have Honest Ballot come and make a presentation of how they conduct the count of proxy ballots. How they certify the ballot is good, how they count it, what they do if a ballot is challenged, why would a ballot be challenged, whatever that is. If you have any, you don't want to finish?
I want you to finish.
Okay, if you have any question about the process as to how the professional organization conducts the business, would you please submit it to Donna by this date to be included in the board packet for the board to deal with it at the presentation with the Honest Ballot Association president? Is that satisfactory? That I will do.
That's not, okay. I think that's a good step forward. I would suggest, in the spirit of making, because I mean, you can submit all the questions.
I'm not giving you my arm, Dan.
So, in this, questions are iterative, they come up, because of, based on the presentation. What is the harm?
I'm sorry, he's gotta leave. He's gotta get some rest.
Oh, yeah?
He's
Interesting.
unfortunately, he needs to do this.
Alright. Okay, the abstention. There's
It's not sarcastic that he's leaving.
I know.
He has to leave.
I know.
I knew about it.
Referring about something else. There's, the issue, why the control, I think that we're easing our way out. I mean, this is not the board's election, okay? This is the community's election. If we're gonna go that far, what's the harm of doing a structured meeting? Put it out there, I mean, totally after bylaws and all that, I mean, after, open market. Have a meeting, say, here's, this is what a third party vendor looks like. Have them do a presentation. You can structure it in a way so it's not a free-for-all. I mean, you can do it with you have board have questions, and then for elections committee members have questions.
You mean
then
outside of the board
public.
meeting, like
Yeah,
a public meeting?
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have the board meeting. We're gonna do what I say. After what I've just said that we're gonna do. after that meeting, and after we're alone, closed session, we'll see where we're going, and then we'll decide the next step. Not by motion, by discussion. But right now, that's what we're doing.
I don't understand why we wanted to talk about one organization, there certainly are others.
Well, only because we're using them currently, you're right, there are
But
other
anyone else would do this,
organizations. If you get sick of
there's
one,
no
you get
variation.
I'm not sure out there that we, that's
Oh,
right,
yeah,
we
there
seem to be
are
locked
other-
into this one organization.
We send out a bid on everything, but this was the lowest bidder on this project. We think they'll be the lowest bidder on the next project. We have a feeling that they're gonna do it. But if you want, you can always pick a higher bidder, but if you have experience with somebody on this and you wanna keep consistent, we wanna hear what this person has to say. Then after we know what the rules are, you wanna call somebody else in for an interview?
Yeah.
We could do that too.
Then we could compare it to other,
Okay.
I think that's a good idea, then we could.
All right. We are now in close